Hello to all our YouTube friends. Thank you to everybody watching. We are waiting for the morning wave to finish, and then we will be live.
Cover, it's absolutely retarded. We've got ISAC, we've got Bond 2018, Commodores, Paper Streets, Island Mobility, Sharkathon, Trail System, Robert McDonald and the MPO, EIEIO, and Commodores Park. Coach Steinbrook hit it out of the park yesterday with that State of the District, and we'll talk weather and surfing, all kinds of good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Full show coming up shortly. Thank you to the 3 or 5 people that I see already watching.
Hi,
welcome.
Mom.
Good morning. Yeah.
Is that Mom?
If you want to slow down your living, or if you just want to get away, there's a little strip of sand down in Texas where they say the fish bite every day. That's my island on a different kind of sand where the dolphins and the seagulls
Clumsy.
guide the ferry.
Thank you, Patsy Jones. That's my island, rocking us out this morning. Jay Gardner joining me, and my name is Jacob Bars.
Arg.
Welcome to Pirate Radio here at a beautiful 7:03 live from Doc Seafood and Steaks on KUKA, Driscoll, Texas, 105.9 and 103.3, and also on Retro Tejano 104.1. We are glad you're joining us this morning. There's a lot of stuff to get to for people who are joining us via YouTube. Let me take down the starting soon because we are fully operational.
That thing's operational. Right on.
Jay, you ran through a quick kind of update of stuff we're going to talk about. Go ahead and run through the highlight list real quick just before we start digging into anything.
Oh my goodness, we've got so much to talk about besides just the weather and fishing. We've got our bond selections from ISAC, the subcommittee. We've got JFK Bond 2018, Commodores Park, Paper Streets to talk about, which is almost turning into like talking about water again, but the Island Mobility Plan. And this weekend is Sharkathon.
Oh, yes,
So we
it's
have lots
back
to talk about with Sharkathon.
that time of year.
Trail System, Robert McDonald, and the MPO has a great presentation this evening at the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Institute there on McCardle. From 4 to 7, and you really need to go check that out. Commodores Park, that came out in the paper. And then Coach Steinbrook and the State of the District yesterday. For those of you not paying attention, Coach Steinbrook is the superintendent for Flower Bluff ISD, and he is a real dynamo, and he absolutely nailed it with the first State of the District. You know, we go to the State of the Port and the State of the City. Coach Steinbrook threw a pretty good one yesterday in the varsity gym.
And this is the first time that they've done this, right?
Yeah, it's the first time they'd done this. They had a lot of sponsors. LJA was a sponsor. Man, when you rolled up, they were showcasing a lot of the kids' projects. Like right out front of the lawn, the kids were building an airplane. I'm not kidding. They were building a flyable airplane. It was
awesome.
Really awesome. The cheerleaders let us in. The band was in there regaling us with some really good tunes. I ran into Dan Suckley and a myriad of people. You know, Todd Hunter. All the hunters were there, actually. All the hunter guys were there. And And the coach just basically he let the kids run the program, but he was the keynote speaker. But one of the guys is the announcer on. Speaking of YouTube, is one of the announcers for the Flower Bluff.
Sports information.
Yes.
Oh, I love
And
that.
So yeah, because
Yeah.
we've been watching that for years.
Yeah.
We watched the Flower Bluff football game from the Ranchita or from
Yes.
Hebronville.
That was awesome. The
And
playoff
so-
game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Lauren and I have been watching on Friday nights, and with 2 kids, it's way more comfortable in our living room
Oh,
with the
yeah,
air
than
conditioning
chasing around the stadium,
than running
yeah.
around the stadium.
No, I got you.
But I
And-
love, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, they have students do the commentary for the football games. And they do a great job.
Dude, they're
It is-
crushing it out of the
yes,
park,
It is
so-
so much fun.
I mean, it's
And-
not Al Michaels or anything, but
but they're getting all this, amazing life experience.
right. So anyway, Steinbrook was highlighting, the ROTC, the programs. He really highlighted the wetland program that we're getting cranked up and cliff strain and all that. And the tennis team, the Flower Bluff tennis team, is going to state today. So
Yes,
for the first
that's
time,
right. So this is the first time since Carroll went in 2004. They advanced to the state tournament. They beat A&M Consolidated High School. I'm not even sure where that is, but they beat them 10-0 to advance to the final round, and they're playing for the state championship today. And it's the entire varsity team and the co-ed division. They play apparently Frisco Centennial at about 11:30 for first and second. So congratulations to them, and go get them Hornets.
yes, exactly.
That's so fun. First they won state volleyball, which was outstanding.
Yeah.
And Lauren was able to find a live feed on that. And I think she's using the same program to try and find a live feed for tennis as well. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's really neat. I love the fact that, they're able to showcase all their accomplishments and Flower Bluff Athletics is showing up and showing out.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, that was really good running into a lot of people. The mayor was there, city manager was there, so it was good to run into them and Ryan. And then this evening, I'll back up just a little bit. This evening, Robert McDonald, the director for the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization, is doing a presentation at the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Center there on McCardle from 4 to 7. And he'll do it several times, but they're having an open house. They're doing their Plan 2050, and they are pulling together a lot of really cool stuff. He's talking about safety on 361. We've had a lot of deaths. That's one of the high-profile areas where traffic fatalities are occurring. He's going to talk about Second Causeway. I caught up with this project or program a couple of weeks ago. But I highly recommend that you go. He's pulling in what Robert also told me is he's pulling in the island mobility plan, and if we have time, we'll kind of get to that. That's supposed to be approved by City Council in January 2026, coming up here in January. What that'll allow is all these projects that we've been working on to actually be able to be transferred into the capital improvement program, which for those of you listeners out there, that's how projects actually get funded and constructed. So the island. I talked to Karen Costanzo from Development Services yesterday. Thanks for calling me, Karen. And she was giving me the update on that, and there will be an update on ISAC at the next ISAC meeting. Speaking of the next ISAC meeting, we will be presenting the Area Development Plan Subcommittee. Will be presenting our Bond 2026 projects, and those are basically we're going to follow previous bonds. And one of the big bond projects that we're going to follow is Bond 2018, which is right here underneath the JFK Causeway with Muddle and Puddle.
Yes, it's a shame when we've got blighted areas underneath a very high traffic area that have a nickname and have had a nickname for years.
Yes.
When the money was there in 2018 to solve this problem.
Right, Muddle and Puddle, and so that's going to be one of our asks for Bond 2026. I've heard that the engineering is at 75%. All the permits are there. All the agreements with TxDOT
They've done what
Everything's ready to roll.
over 3 different studies
Yeah, absolutely.
to
Yes.
to approve the fact that it is not a wetland.
Right. And then another one of our projects for Bond 2026 is going to be the continuation for Commodore's Park.
Yes.
And so we want to get some more money headed towards Commodore's Park to get phase 2. And one of the big phases was phase 3 was the skate park. And now that that's pulled out, we can get on and get that going on. And then paper streets, obviously. And we're going to add, they're doing the engineering for Crow's Nest, Sand Dollar. They've got the funding for Sand Dollar, but not to build Crow's Nest.
But it'll
And
be engineered and ready to go. We'll just be missing the
yes,
funding.
It'll be on the shelf, and so that's going to be our Bond 2026. That'll, if it passes through everybody and gets elected, then it'll cut out in 27 and can start construction in 28. I'm like, am I even going to be around? Am I going to be retired by then? But we're going to add Palmyra to the paper streets too, and hopefully get that done. So,
Well, there was some capital improvement projects
and Dale enjoyed, yes. And
this
we were-
week that went through the council. There's about 8 or 10 or 12 streets on the island that are going to get resurfaced.
Yeah, that's part of the rapid pavement repair program.
Well, I remember a few years ago when they did Aquarius. This was back when Richard was with us, and I commented to you at one point in time, Jay, about how awesome the crew was. These guys rolled
Yeah.
out front of the house and said, "Hey, we're going to start this mill and overlay, and let us know if you need anything or us to get out of the way and stuff." Man, they had that done in a day and a half, almost 2
Right.
days.
It was a city crew.
And yeah,
I mean,
and they were
that's-
great. They were
right.
super courteous. They did a great job, and they were minimally invasive. It was pretty outstanding. I was happy with the results.
Yeah, Richard, thanks, for throwing that back to him. But and then Ernie, I have to give it to Ernie, city staff. Ernie De La Garza, head of streets, is doing a bang up job. He got some orders, and he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's high.
And there's still so much to do. I drove down Santa Fe a while ago, which make sure you're buckled when you drive down Santa Fe.
Oh man,
these
yeah,
days. It's,
that needs a little bit more than a mill and overlay. That's
Well,
for
they
sure.
reopened the Everhart this week.
Yeah,
finally, yes.
right,
For all of you people asking about when Everhart's going to be done,
right.
it was a race between Everhart and Muddle and Puddle, and it looks like Everhart won.
Muddle and Puddle's always going to lose that race.
I know. Well, hopefully that'll crank off here. One of the other things that Robert was talking about, and what I need to follow up with, is the trail system. I actually do have to give kudos, and Dale's going to hate me, but Sergio Gonzalez with the Parks and Rec system has really improved a lot of the trails, walking trails and biking trails in town. And he is working on doing some of those out here. Those are going to dovetail in with the Island Mobility Plan and Plan 2050 with the MPO. So there's a lot going on with that.
We also this morning, this week marks the 15th anniversary of the passing of Doc Blankenship, and we have some people who want to come in and want to talk about Doc a little bit as we go through today. I think Norm Baker says he's going to roll in, and Fred's here.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
The namesake of the building where we sit.
Yeah, that's great. We're also joined by Greg Mills with Packery Surf Cam.
Morning.
You got to eat the mic. You got to get right
Get
up on
right
it.
up
Yeah.
on it, yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
There we go.
Awesome.
We all got delayed this morning. The traffic lights are being stubborn out here on the island.
Well, they're setting them from summer to our fall pattern.
I guess that's what it is. They're an hour early off or something. I don't know.
The traffic lights are on island time as well.
Yeah, something like that.
Perfect.
So I guess we got this next week's show, and then it'll be daylight by the time we start showing up, right?
Yeah.
The following week.
For a while, and then we'll be in the seasonal
It'll be
affective
dark by
disorder
the time we finish the show.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Excellent. Well, Greg, thanks for joining us this morning. I know we talked a little bit about the new Packery Surf Cam and the scale of the equipment that you set up over on Gulfstream.
Thank you. Yes.
Pleasure completely.
Finally, somebody did it. You got to get right up on the mic. Right up on it.
My pleasure completely.
So we're talking about a series of cameras, but one in particular. on top of Gulfstream, right?
That's right.
How did it come to be there? What did you have to do to get it there, and what's there?
Well, so I've got a high definition 4K camera that looks directly at the Packery jetties. And I wrote the business plan about a year ago, and I wanted to create a webcam for our community to be able to take a look at ocean conditions, wave conditions, and just basically get a good, solid view of what the conditions look like on an everyday basis.
Right.
So I approached Gulfstream and presented my idea to them. And they immediately thought it was brilliant, and they wanted to join right away. And they just couldn't be a better partner to have had.
And what does it show? When people look in on it, what will they see?
They'll see a beautiful, clear view of the Packery channels, both North and South Pac, and
Right.
the center channel. So you're able to take a look directly at the waves. So when the waves are good, you'll see people actually surfing on the waves and doing all the turns and cutbacks. And from a fishing perspective, you'll see how many people are out there fishing on the jetty.
Right, except for the very end. I looked at it yesterday and I was like, oh, I can't see the people on the end of the south jetty. You can see the end of the north because of the angle coming from the Gulf Stream. But yeah.
I'm gonna have to start buying some different outfits so no one can recognize me on the jetty when I should be working.
Right, exactly.
Well, you might want to wear a bright rash guard, because that way you
Spot
can
it easier, yeah.
You can go
There
to
you go.
YouTube and actually rewind your surf session.
That's
so
cool.
after you're done surfing, you can go to YouTube, hit rewind,
Mm-hmm.
and in our minds we think we're Kelly Slater out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I've gotten barreled and done 20 off the lips,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I go back and hit rewind, and there I am.
In
with-
reality, you look like Kelly Osbourne.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, the cool thing is the community's found out about Rewind, and so they've gone back to their sessions, and they are rewinding and uploading clips to Instagram. And it's made Instagram clips on the Packery Surfcam Instagram page go viral. So we have some
Well, and,
world-class surfers here.
So how long is it buffered? How far back can you go?
You can go back 12 solid hours for the entire day.
Okay, so it's the day. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
So it's a way to look and see what the waves look like
Yes.
before you get out
Or
there.
say, hey, look, I caught that redfish. Yeah, well, you watch me fall down on the rocks.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I was doing Rewind, and the fishing's been really good out on the jetties, and I saw somebody land a trophy snook. And
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
what was really cool is all the other fishermen out there were lending a hand to the guy who was reeling in the
Oh yeah,
snook.
when you see a really big fish, everybody's like, okay, we're helping this guy.
We're
Get that
helping
in.
this
Get
guy.
that in. Yeah.
It was really neat to see. Now, you can't zoom. I don't have the camera zoomed totally in on your face, but you can see somebody fighting a fish out there and certainly see people catching waves. But the overall ocean safety perspective with the camera is pretty nice. So if you're planning on going offshore, you may not have a Hatteras or a Freeman or something like that. You can take a look at the conditions right now in the morning to take a look and see.
Take
is
your
it-
dinghy out.
Take your dinghy out.
Well, it was always funny. So back in the day, you had to call in. Wind and Wave had a hotline.
Yeah,
So the
Frank,
people had
yeah.
hotlines.
No, it
and
was
so
great.
you would call like Wind and Wave per se. They would never do this because Frank is not like that at all. But the surf was always banging. It was like,
yeah.
it's about waist high. Or, oh, it's chest ahead. Like, oh yeah,
That's
it's
it.
good. Come on out. And then you get out here where you call Roy's or get a fishing report, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Man, it's dead flat out there. It's great for fishing."
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's like, come buy some gear. It's like, oh,
Can you,
Yeah.
yeah. So
can you track who's looking in? Can you tell who's looking at the website, what cities they're looking at?
Yeah, that's a good question. You absolutely can. So there's a whole breakdown of data analytics that show exactly where the viewers are coming from. And what's interesting about PackerySurfCam.com is most of the viewers are from the state of Texas, really from Dallas, a majority San Antonio, all the way down to Brownsville. And then we have a large international viewer base, as well as a lot of winter Texans.
Really?
So, this time
They're sitting up there looking at it starting to snow and wondering when they're going to fire up the Winnebago.
head on
That's,
down. That's right. The kiteboarders too. I have some really great wind forecasting tools on the website. kiteboarders are really excited about this as well. And as you guys know, you'll start seeing sprinter vans from Europe showing up down at South Pack with German license plates, Netherlands license plates. Those are kiteboarders, international kiteboarders, who are coming down to North Padre as one of their kiteboarding stops along the route that they take throughout the United States. So,
Wow.
so there's really
Okay.
there's a global audience that's looking at this, and it's
Very
related
cool.
around wind sports. Again, with Gulfstream being beachfront, it's a really nice place to stay. The management team there is phenomenal. The grounds are phenomenal, and it's a place that you can park, stay, surf, or kite. And they're actually doing a really cool concierge side, attracting surfers and kiteboarders. They'll have board storage on site, which is really unique.
At Gulfstream?
Yeah, at Gulfstream, they're in the process of setting that up, but they're going to be catering to the surfer and the kiteboarding vacationers, and so there's a huge market there, and that was part of the presentation to Gulfstream. Is, hey, there's a market that I don't think that you all have tapped into yet, and that is the surf travel market. And so, as we know, being surfers and, being here on the island for a long time, a lot of surfers who work in the oil fields, a lot of surfers who live in Austin and San Antonio, they have their day jobs up there. They're weekend warriors down here, but the Gulf is so unpredictable. You can never really tell. To your Oggs's point, you call in the surf shop, hey, how is it? It's really good, and you get
Yeah.
down here and it's
Yeah.
flat.
Well, it's it's one of the sayings we used to have back in Galveston was every time it's like, what do you think? It said, looks rideable.
Yeah, it
What
looks
was
right.
Looks rideable. And it was-
Well, there's that old surf movie, Mullet Gumbo, right? Where you
Yeah.
have Bingo there. You call old Bingo there, and he's like, it's
Yeah.
firing, it's 10 foot.
I bought one of my first boards from Bingo. Yeah.
right,
That's
right.
funny.
Yeah, so it's classic.
That's cool.
Well,
That's
one of the things the issues we've had down here over the years is the weather people, the weather wonks in San Antonio. If they predict scattered showers on the coast, we lose 15% of our business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what that means is it's raining in Bishop or Odom or somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's fine on the beach, and so we got a camera now.
Rockport. Yeah.
You can look at it and actually see what it looks like.
Dale, something else you mentioned yesterday was with the storm or anything approaching.
Oh, yeah.
That camera, hopefully the website just goes super viral. So
Yeah.
people have actually, and you've got that thing basically bomb proof, right?
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
so-
I watched the camera, and I don't remember which one it was. It may have been Bob Hall Pier during Hurricane Harvey. I
boy.
evacuated
Right.
until it went down, and
Yeah.
and everybody that I knew was tuned into it because you could see the storm coming in.
Yeah, well,
and then and the cameras at my house until the power went out. Nobody thought of that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I did. I took our garage camera, one of our cameras at the house, and set it in the living room so we could see when we lost internet and then when we lost power.
Yeah.
And we could watch the wind and everything blowing out, blowing in the background, watching chairs fly all over.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
like-
it's something you don't think about until a storm comes in.
Well, that's
And
true.
then all of a sudden, your house is here, and you don't know what's left behind. And
Yeah, it's terrifying. From a safety perspective, you're able to really watch the storm.
Yeah.
See how far offshore it is. Look for any hazards that are
Yeah.
incoming, and then prepare from there.
I think the last storm we had that I recall, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last storm that put water over the top of the seawall was Ike in 2008.
Ike was up there as far as tidal flow, and Hannah had
And-
more tidal flow than Harvey did.
Yeah. Hannah was splishy.
Yeah.
She was splishing over the top.
That's
of the
what took
seawall.
out the pier, right?
We've
Yes.
managed to go relatively unscathed this year. It's been an interesting storm season. And
well,
I
can
don't
you
know
s-
if do we thank El Nino or La Nina for that.
I don't know.
No, it's the transition in between the two.
That's
right,
where
it
we're
is.
sitting.
I think
yeah.
it was the sage we burned on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So can you see where the new Bob Hall Pier is on the camera?
You can see it
Because that's a big surfing spot, right?
It really is. You can see Bob Hall. You can see all the way down to Port A. You can see the ships coming into the Port A, the harbor mouth there. But the primary focus here is on North Padre Island. And so, again, It's multifaceted in terms of having this camera. So we want to generate a lot of views for North Padre Island specifically,
Right.
and the seawall area. And there's been very little marketing about North Padre Island.
Welcome to our world.
You know, I get that. You know, I'm not here as a promoter. I'm here to say that I've had any choice to move to any location in the world, and my family and I chose to move to North Padre Island because it's beautiful. Seashore Learning Center is a phenomenal school
Yeah.
for our son and for the community.
Yeah.
And it's always, you know, I've had to scratch my head and saying, why are we not doing more for marketing our beautiful island in the seawall area? And, you know, frankly, having the skate park that just got approved, Councilman Paxton did a great job. The Stoke Brokers did a lot. And I've been on the periphery engaged in that. But now we finally have a skate park and we can compete with Port A. That's going to attract more families. So is the camera. The camera is going to highlight what is North Padre. I've been getting emails through my contact
What
page
is? What
saying,
are you?
Where is North Padre? I've only heard about South Padre.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I like to say we are not Corpus Christi. We are North Padre Island.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are taking notice. It's in the numbers of viewers that we have on a daily basis. And again, there to help our community, our local businesses, put the spotlight on North Padre Island is something that's really exciting to be a part of. Of course, you guys have done a phenomenal job. Your show and your paper is the voice of North Padre Island. I feel blessed
We
to
plug
be
along.
invited. You plug along extremely well.
Right.
I can't wait every Thursday. Man.
It's thank
Well, I
you.
wish we had we've talked about it a lot on this show. We
that
need some
uploaded.
version of a surf pier or some kind of a breakwater. We need something out there.
Yeah.
We have the jetties, we'll have the pier, but if we need some version of a surf park, and maybe your website is a good start to that.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, anything to artificial reefs, you know, if you look at New Zealand, you look at Australia, they have utilized artificial reefs to
Right.
help regenerate sand in areas that has been lacking, but that's also created a really good wave. I've surfed it. I lived in Australia. I have surfed an artificial reef. I've gotten barreled like there's nobody's business
Yeah.
on an artificial reef outcropping.
That's awesome.
Right. So I just got a text in from Skipper. He's asking where can we find the webcam that we're talking about. You haven't given the website. What is it?
Thank you. Thank you, Skipper. It's at PackerySurfCam.com.
PackerySurfCam.com. Okay.
And you can also live stream it on YouTube at Packery Surfcam. And so for all those viewers that like to have it up on their TV all day or their business, go to the YouTube stream. Please like and subscribe. All your likes and subscriptions are going to keep this camera free. It's a camera that's extremely high-end. It was very expensive. And I built this platform for the community. And so for Skipper, for anybody interested in looking at conditions, take a look at the view. It's the best that you'll see.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, they. I'm trying to get. Let me check out the.
Well, I was
launch.
looking yesterday after we talked about at places around the world where they put in breakwaters for surf, and I was surprised that a lot of them run parallel to the shore.
That's right.
It's not a pier that runs perpendicular. They put down. There was one I saw in Puerto Rico or somewhere where they used old car bodies
Yeah.
that they put into squares, and they made a
Old
reef.
San Juan. Yes,
and they
exactly.
made a surf pier.
Well, and they're 3D printing interlockable reef structures for some of this. What's the name of that they're using around Shamrock?
Natrix.
Natrix. Yeah,
Yes.
there's all kinds of interesting new kind of technologies coming in with that. But the easiest thing would be to like just cut up old stuff and dump it, right? And
That's right.
Yeah. They tried tires and car bodies and all kinds of stuff off of Alabama, and now they're having to go back and pull that stuff
Pull it
out.
out. Yeah, you got to take the oil out of the crankcase
Yeah.
before you sink those things.
Before you
There's
chuck
a
it in there.
bar some years ago in Port Aransas. They put a car up there and they forgot to drain the oil, and they had an oil problem leaking out on the bar.
oh my goodness.
Gosh.
Been joined by Fred.
Good morning, guys.
Hey,
Sound
Fred.
good?
All this surf talk, I couldn't resist. If you look at this wall over here, we have a whole wall that's all local waves and local
Oh
surfers.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tony
No, that's
Woodall.
great.
I'm telling you, and we have so many people from out of town come in and said, where in the world is that? We said it was right here.
Right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Can't
incredible.
believe it. And there's barrels, there's some beautiful stuff
Yeah.
up there.
What's the best time of year? I'll ask a rookie question for surfing.
Well, everybody's wearing wetsuits in the
Yeah.
pictures,
Yeah.
so
Wintertime.
It's
yeah,
that little
right.
light front breeze hitting those waves coming in from a big swell.
Right, a slight offshore wind that stands it up.
Yeah,
that
that's
west
right.
wind,
But
yeah.
surfing here is a lot better than most people would ever have believed, huh?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true, very true. We actually North Padre Island is home to one of the best waves in the state of Texas. It's also the most popular, and so when it gets good,
Easy to get to.
and it's easy to get to.
Yeah,
It's a great wave.
North Pack.
North Pack. Now that Bob Hall's coming back, Bob Hall's an excellent wave. There are other waves too if you take the time to drive down Penns towards Mansfield.
Absolutely.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh! I mean, you want to talk about good waves
It's
and
kinda-
nobody out?
It's kind of spooky down there, though.
The shark situation is real.
From one of the older guys at this table, I'll tell you something you probably remember, Dale. But when we went to school, we were on the quarter system. Do you remember that? It was a short-lived event here.
Yeah.
I think it was about maybe 8 years worth or 6
Yeah.
years worth. But in
Yeah.
the quarter system, we didn't have to be at school till 9:30.
Oh wow!
So every morning, the beach, the dawn patrol every morning.
Oh, yeah.
And then you dry off and make your hair look decent and go to school. Have school.
Dawn Patrol.
School
yeah.
clothes in the back of the car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Came in wet, but your hair was combed.
That-
Yes.
Salty.
Perfect.
I was doing some construction work with the crew once, and anytime the surf would get good, we'd just stop where we were,
Oh,
put
yeah.
our tools down, go surf, and
Yeah.
then come back and finish the job, however long it took.
You're
Yeah.
a great
and,
boss.
yeah, and at one point in time, the guy who owned the property's wife came by, and she thought the rapture happened because all the tools were
Yeah,
sitting right
they've
there.
all been
Straight.
sucked up into
Everybody was
heaven.
gone. And,
Well, Fred, did people use the surf pier when it was here? Was it a popular surfing place?
That actually came a little later. I mean, I got the little bit of that, but none of that stuff. We had Fish Pass back then.
Right.
And
jetties.
we also had a problem. Mr. Carter, President Carter, we had to buy gas every other day.
Right.
Back then, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of Volkswagens and 8 guys packed in a
Yeah.
car, and
Just
trying
get
to.
me
Those
out
are easy
there,
to
yeah.
stick in the sand, aren't they? Especially with 8 guys in them.
Yeah.
No, you
no,
know
you
the,
can pick
uh,
them up. I mean,
I
yeah.
don't know if you'll remember, but at Packer, you get a head of steam, and you could cut right along
Yeah.
that north side and make it right there by the jetty.
Oh yeah.
We didn't always go all the way around. There was a little trail through there.
But man, if you got stuck
Yeah.
there, you were stuck.
Yeah, but like I said, there was a lot of guys there. That
Yeah.
Get out, and everybody kind of helped out. But it was pretty neat. I mean, and it was kind of every high school was represented. You had all
That's
the-
funny.
It,
Love
was,
that.
it was
Yeah.
a really fun time.
Has the surf community changed here over the years?
Oh yeah, I think.
Bigger, smaller, different?
Well, I don't surf anymore. I'm too
Yeah.
old. There's an
Yeah.
age limit.
No,
No,
such
you
thing.
just, no, you just get a longer board. That's all. Yeah, that's what I did.
Longer
just get a
shorts.
longer board. Yeah.
Well, the surf community here is very deep. The lines cross generations, multi generations, and become friends with a lot of surfers. I'm sure you know real well. That surfed here in the '70s and went on to move to Hawaii to surf the big waves of Hawaii for multiple years. There are actually quite a lot of famous Texans. Who made it on the North Shore, who still live in Hawaii. I moved here from Kauai, and so I had some Texans out there, and so we would really grill out. It was a big thing. We
Yeah.
introduced to our Hawaiian friends. We got brisket flown in.
Oh, yeah.
We smoked a brisket, and everybody just went wild in Kauai over it. But what I love about the surf community here
Jacob lived in
is
Hawaii
the
for a few
camaraderie.
years, yeah.
yeah.
You were briefly touched on that yesterday.
Yeah. I was on Oahu, but I went to Kauai, and Kauai I really liked because it was a lot more country. Really
That's right.
has the same kind of feel as where we are right now, as kind of Packery and the
Yeah.
whole kind of Padre Island kind of neighborhoodness to
You know
it.
what's
Yeah.
interesting about Kauai? It's the only island with true cowboys who
Yeah.
are trained by Texans.
Yeah.
They're referred to as Paneolas. And so way back in the 40s, when they decided to cut all these roads through the Waimea Canyon, Kauai is home to one of the largest cattle ranches in the state of Kauai, in the state of Hawaii. And so naturally, Texans were brought over to teach the
Naturally.
Hawaiians how to do barbed wire fences properly,
Yeah.
how to rustle cattle. So
How to
we-
rust? Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Wrangle cattle.
if you've
Yeah,
never-
Yeah, we don't rustle cattle.
yeah.
We wrangle them.
Wrangle.
That's bad. They
you've
hang you
never
for that.
seen-
Sorry, yeah.
They take your horse.
If you've never seen Waimea Canyon on Kauai, Mark Twain called it the Grand Canyon of the Pacific.
That's exactly right.
And it's Waimea literally translates to like reddish brown dirt is what they're
right.
referencing.
Yes.
And it is absolutely gorgeous.
Grand
That's
Canyon
right
of
on
the
the edge of the Nepali coast, which is where like Pirates of the Caribbean and so many other movies have been
right.
filmed because it's just so dynamic and beautiful. If you've been watching any movie, it's like Jurassic Park, all that.
That's
it's that
right.
kind of that terrain.
It's filmed in
yeah.
Kauai.
Yeah, we got a little different terrain down here, but
Yeah,
and
less
it's also
mountainous.
one of the reasons why I love I can't just say Packery, but Corpus so much. Is the fact that you can go paddle out, and you don't have to worry about the surf really trying to kill you. There's no rocks and
Yeah.
reef to
Right.
I
rip
watch
you
those
up.
guys in Hawaii, and I think you got to be out of your mind. You're surfing on a coral reef.
Yeah, there was a place in by Ala Moana called Sidewalks.
Sidewalks.
Because
I know that.
the reef was a little higher, and at the right time, it looked like you were surfing literally on a sidewalk because it was just so shallow.
Oh no!
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
There's a lot of fins on that reef.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
and teeth.
no!
Unfortunately.
Teeth.
Yeah, but the
So how long has your website been up and going, Greg?
Yeah, so I launched on September 22nd. I've got over 350,000 views. I've got about 800 followers on Instagram. I've got 4,200 hours logged on YouTube. And so it's really taking off. A lot of people are noticing this and utilizing it as a key go-to tool now. It takes the guessing game out of whether or not the waves are good.
Right.
The whole time I've lived here, I've relied on my friends at the beach to give me an accurate report. And that's somewhat in real time. And so what the community's discovered is now they can just go to their phone, take a look at the conditions, bolt from their offices on the other side.
Right.
Have an accurate understanding of what the wind's
We're not
gonna be doing.
condoning playing hooky on the Islandwood radio, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's been embraced by the community. I'm really appreciative for everybody's support.
Well, can boaters see I assume they can, the mouth of Packery and tell what the swells look like?
No, it needs to swing out just a little bit. That's what I was saying. It's
Because that's
zoom
what a lot
out.
of boaters will look at. Is
Yeah.
That's right.
The swells coming into.
As the waves increase, so we did have a swell last week, and so the waves were breaking closer to the end of the jetty. Then the camera was aimed in that direction, so you
Right.
could see the mouth.
Yeah.
Now that we're heading into winter time and we're going to get larger winter swells, it's really, I'm going to want to see people dropping in past the end of the jetty.
Right.
And the camera will be pointed in that direction.
Or on their stand-ups. Jacob was one of the first ones to bring a stand-up through here, and he would go out and
Yeah.
catch waves half-mile offshore.
I've seen you
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just bomb, and he would just bomb through the lineup.
Yeah, I was like, go, man.
At
You
one
were
point
from
in
Hawaii,
time,
man.
I forget which storm it was, but people weren't getting out. They couldn't make it past the end of the break on the North Jetty because it would just when it would come through, it was just so foamy.
Yeah.
But it was really breaking big. It was a big, massive storm that came through. So I took my stand-up out, and I'm paddling through, and there are guys holding on to the end of the jetty like, "You're crazy, man! Like, what are you doing?"
And Jacob
I-
just tooling
yeah,
through.
I
No
timed it right
problem.
and just gunned straight out. And at one point in time, the only way I could map where I was luckily they had the Schlitterbahn Tower up.
Yeah.
And they had a crane that they were working on Lively Beach with.
Right.
So those are the
Triangulate.
land.
Yeah.
All I knew
Those are
was I
both
had
gone
to stay
now.
between those two. It was
we got no
wild.
landmarks anymore.
I
Yeah,
saw
that's
you
right.
catch a wave out there on your sup. You must have gone a quarter of a mile.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I was like, that's no tanker wake out there. That was a wave.
So I found this app that tracks your waves. Now normally it has a problem with the GPS because a lot of these little drop and stop days is just not that, you don't get that long of a ride and
Yeah.
it can't really calculate everything. But at one point in time, I went out and caught 4 waves, and it tracks it via my smartwatch.
Yeah.
And I went in, I was looking at the data, and it must have miscalculated because it said my top speed was 47 miles an hour.
Hey, right at the bottom in the center. Yeah.
So I had to brag, you know. I think at that point there would be so much like tension under the bottom of the board, it would start vibrating and.
Oh yeah, Chidewalk.
Yeah,
Chidewalk.
Well,
Yeah.
they had a guy some years ago out at Bird Island, a windboarder, Trucker Bob, supposedly went 60 miles an hour on his windboard. I wasn't there, but he held the speed record there for years. That place is still open right now, by the way, even though the shutdown is
Oh, that's
going on.
right. So there's a ranger at the station just waving people through, right?
Yeah, and I went out
Okay.
to Bird Island. There's there was quite a few surfers,
So
windsurfers
we'll get a Bird Island report. We're going to jump onto a quick radio
Yes.
break. But we are still going to be running it live on YouTube. Just go to Island Moon Live, and you can follow us along. If you're on the radio, we will be back shortly.
Right.
From the
So
first glass of water in the
I'm
morning
wondering
to
how
clean
they're
dishes after
policing
dinner,
Bird
and
Island
every
because
refreshing
sometimes that
shower
parking
in
lot will
between.
fill up
Water
with
is
people
part of
putting their
every
boats
I was
in.
out there about a week ago, and there were probably
Works
at
hard
least
to
15
provide
or 20 RVs out there. And,
Oh,
and then I
yeah.
went out there Tuesday, I think it was. And there's only 1 or 2 people out there, but there was no wind.
You know, I'm happy that last shutdown they did, you couldn't cut through there. You
still on.
couldn't cut through.
Yeah.
Now we can go ahead and go by boat if we're going to Baffin. But if you recall, they made us go to the intercoastal around it. They shut all the water off cutting
Oh,
through.
that's right. They put those markers
We
out there.
pushed
Yeah.
back on that, and that's not the case
Yeah,
anymore.
no,
Yeah.
this is great, and I think it's good for tourism too. That water stays open and we can utilize it to.
Yeah,
get-
Bird Island
Absolutely.
Bird Island is in April is their big month.
Yeah.
But anytime the wind picks up, you'll have
Oh, yeah.
you'll have people out there.
No, and it's a great place. I mean, yeah, you can.
You go out there a lot of times and you'll see people from all over the world. They
Absolutely.
lease RVs and they'll spend a couple of weeks out
Yeah,
there
those
and windsurf.
those kiteboarders. Yeah, I got more of an international flavor at Bird Island than I have in most locations around town here.
The only thing with more international people is when there's a house under construction.
Oh, didn't. Oh, what kind of fun?
I want to thank you guys real quick for the mention of Doc.
Yeah,
back in the day.
absolutely,
I sure
yeah.
appreciate that. You know,
We were hoping that Norm would show up and tell us,
yeah,
regale us with
couple
some
Doc
stories too.
You know,
Yeah,
there was hundreds of them.
yeah.
Well, I was looking through the Moon archives, and 15 years ago this week was when he passed away.
Yeah.
And I actually found a picture of he and his wife at Taste of the Island.
Yeah,
He
which is
loved it,
today.
yeah.
Right?
Which was last night.
Yeah.
Or it was last night. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was, today is SCA.
It was at the old
Oh, yeah, it's
Padre
at
Al's
SCA, yeah.
Country Club.
Yeah, that was a big event. It was a lot of fun back then. And I think that Doc and the restaurant played a big role in making that happen back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When was Doc's built? What year did?
Well, it depends. You know, you go way back. Doc owned it when it was Frenchie's.
Right,
So
yeah.
there was a real early build there and a bunch of add-ons and stuff. And then this building was built about 2001, I believe. So when they had a fire, and as you recall, when we came in,
Yes,
we
yeah.
we rebuilt the current building. So yeah, we've
So
been,
this building's been here since early
2000,
aughts.
2001.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple of the daughters here today too.
Well, bring them in. Let's.
Oh,
they're,
yeah. Absolutely.
Doc was. We used to hang out over here at Norm's Boathouse and swap stories, and Doc always had the best stories, and we would tell him. His were the only ones that were true,
Yeah.
and his were better than ours, and they were actually true. And so after about a year of listening to his stories, I'd try to take notes, but he would jump from year to year. And so finally I told him, Doc, write all this stuff down. And he did. He wrote a 2,500 word history, which I printed some in this time in the Moon.
Yeah.
And it went through all the stuff where he started in the Merchant Marines and to medical school and all through. And he told me he was in Korea. He served in the Korean
Yeah.
War. He was,
Vietnam.
he ran the MASH units, I think, in Korea,
Yep.
if I remember right. And he had to sign off on their readiness before they went in at Incheon,
1966.
Yeah.
Wow.
which was
yeah. Oh yeah.
again one of his stories that was actually true.
Yeah. Well, I think his time on the Grayback, the Naval SEAL sub, was something he always cherished. All the submarine time, and he was the head doctor for the U.S. sub fleet. So he played a big role in those early days of, I guess, the diving medical scene.
Right. Well, he did a lot of work with
Chambers.
barometric chambers.
Sure
Oh
did,
wow!
yeah.
Yeah.
And he came
that's
here
right.
to Corpus to run the barometric
Right.
program.
And we
Founded
are
it, I
back
think.
from
Yeah.
the radio break. Thank you all for sticking with us. It is a gorgeous Island Moon Thursday at 7:45 out here live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks. We are glad you're joining us here on KUKA Driscoll, Texas, 105.9 and 103.3. We've got a full table. Dale, you want to run through all the intros?
Well, we're talking about Doc Blankenship. This
hang on.
morning.
Make sure all
we
the,
just came
mics
back
are
on
on.
the
Okay,
radio
there we go.
side.
Oh
and
yeah, do.
Yeah.
It's the 15th anniversary of Doc's passing, and I ran I guess you would call it his autobiography in this issue of the Mood, because he wrote it for me, and it goes through all of his military history and how he ended up here and all that. What year did Doc move to the island?
Hi, good morning.
Yes.
We moved here in 1981, the summer of
81.
81. Yes.
What brought him here? Was
That's
it working
right
in,
after Hurricane Allen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He came here to
That's
be,
when
he
we
was in
moved to town.
active duty Navy at the time, and he came here to be the XO of the hospital.
Oh,
nowadays.
okay. And did you move directly to the island?
We did not. We lived in base housing for the first 2 years, and then in 1983, they bought their house on Suntan.
Oh, okay. So 83 was when they first moved out here.
Correct.
So you grew up out here.
I did.
Wow. So there you're the one.
Yeah.
You're the only, just about the only person who actually, very few people actually grew up on the island. Everybody arrived here from somewhere.
There was not a whole lot of houses back in 1981.
So you went to Flower Bluff?
I did. Started in the 8th grade. They had just built the brand new junior high, and I started 8th grade at Flower Bluff and went through till my senior year.
Well, did Doc, when was he an outdoors guy? Did he have boat? I know
He
he had.
loved fishing. He loved to fish. He didn't do it a whole lot. He was just busy working. My memory is just that he worked hard, and but he did love to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he decide to get into the restaurant business? Do you know? Fred, do you know?
You know what? I'll tell
Frenchie
you.
probably talked
no,
him into
a,
it,
a
right?
little bit of that.
Yeah, right.
I'll
Frenchie
tell you,
can
I'll
talk
tell you the
anybody
truth.
into anything.
All the when I'm hearing you talk about his military career and big war hero and all the things that he did, he was the kindest, sweetest man. And I honestly believe when he would sit in the restaurant and there would be people in here and they were smiling and enjoying the food, he loved seeing people be happy. And I think he took a lot of pleasure out of seeing everyone smiling and enjoying a fresh seafood. And it could be taking the kids to the beach and
Yeah.
family events, and he would look at everybody and see everybody happy, and he took a lot of pleasure in that. So
That is true. Very true.
I remember he was telling me they were looking for, at one point they were, after the storm, they were looking for something that had washed away, and he went out to the beach and found it because he'd look at the tides. He could watch the tides. He started out in the Merchant Marines,
He did.
right, he was really young.
and he said that the thing he wrote said he was around the world 4 or 5 times by
Yeah.
the time he was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just learned from a really good friend of mine he was a Marine, and we flew together. He told me stories just recently that I had never even heard.
Oh, wow.
He said
Really?
your daddy when he was 16 took his mom to the recruiters and said, I want to join the military, and
Really?
they said, well, you can't. And he said, but I've got my mama here, and she's saying it's okay. And they said, you could do that if you were 17, but you're not 17.
Oh.
And so Bob told me that story, and he said, so then he went to the Merchant Marines because they didn't have an age
Oh, that's how he got around the
minimum
world.
age. So he
Yeah.
went to the Merchant Marines instead.
And then and when he came back, then he went to medical school and all. He went to Stephen F. Austin, right?
He did. He met my mom at Stephen F. Austin.
Distinguished alumni.
Yeah.
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 And then moved around. Then in 81 ended up in Corpus, and 83 ended up here on the island.
That's correct.
He ended up he invested in real estate around as well. He
He did.
still has, because at that time there's a lot of empty land out here, and not a lot of people buying it.
Correct. Yep. He did. He
And
bought some property.
did they and to this day, I guess you still got some of that in the family, right?
We do.
What's the thing that you remember most about him in terms of his business career out here? He had his fingers in a lot of pies. I was looking at the thing he wrote. He was in the real estate business. He got into 5 or 6 investment in 5 or 6 different types of industries over the years. I never had that conversation with him. When I talked to him, I always always tried to pry war stories out of him.
Right.
The fun
Well,
stuff.
he was
yeah.
definitely an entrepreneur. But honestly, my daddy's strength was
Yeah.
his professionalism as a doctor. He was a great doctor, and he cared about people and human life, and smart man, the smartest man I know. Coming from his daughter, that doesn't sound
Well,
strange, but
Well, you fly airplanes, right?
I do. I did. I don't anymore.
She
I'm
followed
retired.
the Navy career.
What did you do
I
in
was
the Navy?
Oh, I flew P-3s. And,
wow.
and the T-34 here, I flew that for 10 years as an instructor.
Oh, very cool.
So, and then I flew for Customs and Border Protection. But no doubt about it, my daddy was a great doctor. And I just last night, leaving the Taste of the Island, we were riding with some friends that had gone. And the gentleman in the back was in his 70s. And he said, you know, your daddy saved my life when I was 39 years old. And
Really?
I had remembered it. I'd forgotten it. But he said, yeah, he goes, I've told you that before. And I said, you know, you did. And I'd just forgotten it. But he reminded me that he'd been in a diving accident. And so my dad ran the hyperbaric,
Right.
the hyperbaric
Oh, yeah.
chambers there at what used to be Memorial Hospital. And he said, when I was 39 years old, I got in a diving accident. I got the bends. And he goes, your daddy, he credited my dad for saving his life. And
He
I
did a lot. He
thought, "That was
founded
really
that,
nice."
didn't he?
He was the
one of-
director of it. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I think he did.
And if I remember right, that's one of the reasons that he came here, wasn't it? To run that. I know he was involved with it for years and years, and he tried to get, he did work with stroke patients.
All kinds, yes. Cancer, lots of different patients. Yeah.
Interesting. Good.
So, I was distracted.
Yes.
No.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
No. Billy,
Get the squirrel
Billy's
cage.
taking good care of us, as he always does.
105.9.
Yep.
So you guys have now, Docs has been 15 years, 20 years in its current.
March
Yeah,
of
not-
2004. March the 8th, 2004.
Wow. What was here before? What was on this site? Do you know?
Well, it was,
It's Frenchies.
yes.
Yeah.
It was
I
Frenchies.
believe a bait stand prior. That's the little pilings on the side there.
Did you guys know Frenchie?
Yeah.
So he was. This was originally Frenchie's, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Doc owned it, but he let
Yeah.
Frenchie put his name on it, and then that went along for a while, and then I remember when that changed, and then when did the place burn down?
Late,
99?
I think
99.
late 90, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was
98, yeah.
Norm was telling me he was here. They were interested to see what was in the safe, but they didn't find anything.
We were here and actually got here halfway through the fire.
Really?
And here's a little interesting one. Roberta and I were standing on the side, and they had an old Columbia 26 sailboat there docked. And as the dock lines burned off, the boat started drifting in the current.
Oh.
And then it went totally up in flames, and it was on fire as the current took it under the bridge. It looked like a Viking funeral.
my
I was like,
Oh, gee.
I don't want to think any of this is cool, but that's pretty cool.
yeah, right.
So it does have bike. So it burned
Cursed
and the wind
insurance.
blew it under the bridge.
On fire, full on fire, man. I mean,
Oh, no.
flamed up.
Well, if you're going to lose a sailboat, that's
Yeah.
not a bad way. You
Coolest
at least you got a
insurance claim
story to
ever.
tell.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody snap a picture of that.
So we've got this. They're moving the La Posada event here to Docks this year
Yeah, I heard.
for the first year. They've been having it down the street, and it's going to be here so we can get the. I was a judge the last couple of years. We couldn't get the boats up to the judging stand because the water was too shallow.
Down that
So-
way. So, yeah, no,
so
that'll be nice.
So
Yeah.
Friday night parade here is going to be a good one.
Yeah, we enjoy a little deeper water docking here, fortunately.
Now you just got back from doing the Harvest Moon Regatta.
I did, yeah.
Tell us about that. Where do you leave out of where Galveston?
We started at the old pier at Galveston and finished right out in front of the Port A jetties. And this year was a unusual event and really, really fun. We had a norther come through, so we set a spinnaker
Oh,
at the
nice.
start, and we took it down at the finish.
Wow.
Really?
That's,
Come
that's
on.
the dream, you know.
Wow, yeah.
And we hit like 15 knots at times.
That's
We-
cruising.
Plenty of big waves, plenty of breeze, surfing the whole way down. It was really, really fun.
throw
No matter
the
what place you got, I don't think anyone said that, this wasn't one of the most fun Harvest Moons ever.
So
That's
is it?
awesome.
So you're under the Harvest Moon when you're out there. You got a nice.
Oh, it was beautiful. And this year was like air conditioning. But you know what's funny is the participation is really funny. After events like this one, everyone up and down the dock talk is, man, we had the grill going in the back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the
Yeah.
moon and everything. But it ain't always like that.
Oh no! Sometimes you're tacking a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and waves breaking over the boat, and it can be cold, and it's not always like that.
Right.
But the talk down the dock is what a great, beautiful year to have it. And so next year there'll be a whole lot more people that.
No, there are 80-some boats this year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but
And-
I mean,
and-
they've cut it off at 200 boats before.
Really?
And so
Wow.
so that
Wow.
participation really fluctuates and can get big. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk when we were doing the CCVB stuff that we want to get all those boats. It'd be great. Can you imagine 200 boats downtown at our marina? So Port A is a really fun spot, and a lot of people really enjoy that. But at some point, I believe we're going to make an effort to get that group downtown and let them enjoy some of the downtown restaurants and the downtown adventure.
Exactly, and especially since they just, I think they were dredging the marina, or they did some spot dredging in the marina, so you can get some deeper boats in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The marina's looking beautiful. The new docks are all going
Do they
in.
still do the Wednesday sales
Yeah,
in the bay?
yeah. Thank gosh.
Been down there in
that's
years.
I don't ever miss one. I
Really?
missed last night, and I wasn't too happy about it.
No, because of the taste of
It-
the.
You taste the island, but it breaks a week up, and you know they have anyone that wants to go sailing, they will put you on a boat.
Yeah.
Great.
Just ask down the dock, come on with us, and
Yeah.
I mean there's no crew limits for Wednesday nights because it's to entertain,
Yeah.
get people introduced to racing and sailing.
And this
from
year,
promote the city.
the Harvest Moon was won by some high school kids.
Man, is that not wonderful? As a
Sea
matter of fact,
Scouts.
the Sea Scouts dock about 2 or 3 slips down from me, so I see them every Wednesday night and talk to them, and they're a great group of guys. Dr. Bergman, what a wonderful guy to promote sailing to those kids like he does. And they haven't always been the most successful, but they will go out if it's blowing 30. And a lot of times they're the only boat out. Sometimes we try and do that on our
Right.
program, and there'll be maybe 2 or 3 boats go out on the worst days. So those kids were seasoned and ready to go, and they had a wonderful regatta. And they beat all the big $1 million Houston boats. They beat the whole group, and they didn't beat them by a little bit. They beat them by a lot.
Wow.
So it was.
How did they do it? What
Isn't
was
that-
it? Why did they win?
So this year it was kind of funny. So we spent a lot of money on equipment and had real-time current information, and we had a satellite phone that ties into 2 computers to show.
Jeez Louise, yeah.
It's called Expedition, a program that constantly tweaks to changes in the weather predictions and your best current, your best everything, and all that data showed everyone to go a little further offshore. And these guys found a beautiful lane straight down the beach, straight line. Everyone sailed an extra, 15 or 20 miles going out and back. And those guys picked a beautiful course, and they did it.
Right off the 4th bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And catching pompano and grilling them right there.
Right, that's what I'm
At
talking
the halfway
about.
point, I didn't get a lot of time from the helm to look at all that, but I went down. I said, show me the current information and how much further we got to go and what's going on. And when I looked at the real-time current information, you could see a little lane right down the beach, and I said, click on that, and it said compression current. So it was actually kind of a wave-driven current right along the beach. It
Yeah.
happens periodically.
Near shore.
And
Yes.
they were
Longshore current,
they were
yes.
smack dab in it and smoking.
Wow.
Nice.
And again, they didn't beat the Houston boats by a little. They beat them by like 45 minutes. It was,
wow.
which
Yeah.
is a slaughter. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so
That's
Were they-
bragging
were
rights.
they
That's-
sailing?
Yes.
What type of boat were they sailing?
An old J35,
Really?
very well maintained and well
Okay.
kept. But I mean, yeah, literally the top Houston boat that we all love is $1.5 million program. It's
Yeah.
not, and the kids
Just
nailed
whipped
it.
them. That's
is
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. You gotta love. That's like
No,
the-
we were cheering the whole way. From the halfway point on, man, we were their biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Talk
no
about
doubt.
bragging rights. Huh?
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man.
Well, that's like the kids that show up for a fishing tournament in a little aluminum John boat, and then end up winning.
Yeah.
It's all these guys with these $120,000 boats and
Right.
400 Super Maxes on the back.
I was one of those kids at one point in time.
Yep.
Yeah, Dad and I in an
Get a
old
Zipco
beater.
reel.
Yeah.
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 We went out and smoked a bunch of redfish.
So how long have you been doing that Harvest Moon, Fred?
Me, since the founding, I was a sailmaker back in Houston 100 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
When that
In a
race was-
previous life, yeah.
And when that regatta was conceived, and we used to have a lot of offshore racing, and it's hard, to put
Yeah.
a series together of 300-mile kind of races. And
Jeez,
the
yeah.
idea was that let's take everybody down the beach and hang out in Port A for the weekend, and man, it grew. And So I've done.
So you trailer up
no,
to Gal-
no, you
Nope.
sail up
You
there.
sail up there and then sail back. Yes.
Trailering for the bigger boats is a lot. And the trip up there, my trip up there was terrible because I kept waiting for the wind to shift and go back to the south. And every opportunity I had to go was right out of the north again. So I went upwind. I went offshore to Freeport, and then I couldn't take it anymore. And I went in at Freeport and kind of motor sailed up the ditch to get there. But some of the trips there are brutal. And this year, their trip home was brutal.
Really?
Right. Yeah. They turn
They
around and
paid
go
for the
into
nice
it.
weather coming down on the way back.
So, well, I'll let you know that it is 8 o'clock here on Island Moon Thursdays, live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks on KUKA, Driscoll, Texas, 105.9 and 103.3. Y también en Retro Tejano 104.1. So, buenos dias, amigos. We are glad that you're joining us. We're having a great old time. We're talking about Doc's while at Doc's.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, is a very hallowed character, full of life and a bunch of great stories. One of the things Dale was saying that they'd be sitting around, everybody's telling old fishing and life stories, things like that. But Doc's stories were usually true.
Ours changed every time we told them.
Yeah.
and Doc's were always better, and they were also true. So, yeah, Doc would if once you got him talking, he'd tell you stories. You just had to draw him out. He wouldn't necessarily just launch into them. But I met him over here at Norm's place over the years, and not long after I moved to the island in 2000, he was one of the first people I met. Him and the judge would hang out over there.
Well, and it seems like this part of the island, the whole Sunset Island that they've named it, this area has changed a lot, but it hasn't changed that much, really. From what I can see.
Yeah. When did you guys take over the restaurant? Were you here from the beginning?
Yeah, we were here for the build.
And then I remember when they were putting the pilings in.
Yeah.
Back, Steve Chisholm was doing that at one point.
Absolutely.
But I get the years all rolled together. I can't remember what happened when.
And it's been fun doing the morning show from here, even starting way back in the Blake's morning show days. And I've been in this place in any kind of weather you can imagine.
Yes.
We've been here in the blowing rain a few times.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the board got wet about a month or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it took a little while to dry all that
Whoops.
thing out. So
Yeah.
that's why I just blame all the bad production on the wet board.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
going
It's,
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But
still
thank
there.
you guys for having us and taking care of us here. We
We
appreciate
love
it.
having you here.
This become kind of our touch point in the middle of our week. We get the moon out
Absolutely.
on Wednesday, and then we come in here on Thursday and hash it out. But this week, as I was going through I do a thing 15 years ago in the moon, and I found the thing that Doc had written, and so I decided, well, that's a little island history right there. There's original Islander. Doc might be that guy. Him and Ernie, right?
So we're doing a two-part history because it was so long. We could have put it all in, but it was taking up a lot of room.
Yeah.
So we're splitting it up.
Cut
so
it
we
into
go-
two
yeah.
parts.
Oh, cool.
Because I think over the years, there's been very few people on the island who have actually. There's been a lot of people come and go, but very few people actually build things.
Yeah,
and
well,
leave
he
them
loved the
behind.
island. He really did. He was a big advocate for everything. Remember the old road that Ernie and Doc built
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there?
Yes.
Now it's repaved. I'm going to take a stick and a sign someday and put up there Doc Blankenship Boulevard.
Oh,
We should do that.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I bet we could get that done. Well, that road now is the breakwater over here, I think, isn't it?
This one? Well, I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
know.
know.
those
yeah.
rocks over there.
Oh,
when
okay.
Ernie chipped them out of there because he tried to get him to put the road on top of the old one,
Yeah.
but in the contractor's
Oh,
wisdom,
yeah.
he wouldn't
the
do
the
that.
rocks they broke up, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Thank
yeah.
gosh we did that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's really stopped a lot of decay, and
Yeah.
we were slowly losing that land
Yeah.
through there. That prevented it.
It should be
But,
Doc Blankenship Boulevard. I bet we could
Absolutely.
do that.
Yeah, I mean,
If we only knew some people at
North and
City
South.
Hall that were listening to the show.
Yeah.
Oh, we get a sign, and what is it? I guess the council approves that, Jay? How does that work?
Yeah. It can go through traffic engineering. Yeah. Should
if
be.
they don't
pretty
hurry up,
simple.
I'm going to get me one of these boards down there, and I'm going to go.
Yeah, you do the in between sign.
That's
Guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, that's
yeah.
there.
We'll work on
I
that.
think he's deserving of that.
Yeah,
I'll make a note.
absolutely.
I'll chase that.
Well, that I just as I look back in my time here I haven't been here as long as you guys have. I moved here in 2000, and Doc is one of the guys that one of the kind of the old timers that was here when I got here. Him and Joe Farah, and really that was kind of it. You know.
Yeah.
You had a few interlopers, the Paul Snick Snyders of the world, and that, but Doc and Ernie, they were. And Joe, and they've all been on this show. I invited Ernie in today, but he's an international traveler of the
Here he
world now.
comes.
Yeah, we got
One of them.
we
Hey,
got,
there's Norm.
Norm Baker coming in.
Yeah.
And one last shout out real quick. We'll talk about PackerySurfCam.com. Greg Mills is joining us this morning. Thank you for jumping in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate
My
you,
pleasure.
and definitely go check out PackerySurfCam.com and stay abreast to the surf conditions, see how many people are on the jetties, and be jealous about the people who are out there fishing and surfing while you're sitting at work watching it on the camera.
Thank you so much. It's
Yes,
been an honor
Thank
to
you
be
for
here.
spreading the word of North Padre Island. That's in the we'll do some more as we go through.
That sounds great.
That could be the catalyst for a lot of things to happen around here that we've been needing to do for a while. We need to build our brand out here.
I believe that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
got it.
now we need a surf pier.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Have a great morning, y'all.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Greg. Norm Baker joining us. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
So we're
Good morning.
we're good. Run us through your history with Doc and how
How'd
you met.
you meet Doc, Norm?
Well, I met Doc. Actually, I saw him several times down at the old Two Seas when he was down there trying to collect rent. That's probably the first time I met him. But as far as really getting to know him is when I bought the boathouse, and when I got a call from his manager, he had fired Frenchie, and anyway.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, well, that's quite a story. But anyway, he had a manager. I can't remember what his name was, and he called me and he said Doc was interested in selling the boathouse. He had taken it from, I guess he had paid it from a farmer or rancher or whatever that was a friend of Frenchie's. So anyway, Dell and I had been doing a little bit of chartering down from the back of my house, and so I came down and looked at it. At that time, it was floating, had styrofoam blocks underneath it. A couple of them had gone away, and it was kind of setting in the water. And so anyway, I said, well, we'll try it out. So.
Was Doc's here at the time? Doc's restaurant?
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't called Doc's, of course. It was called Frenchie's then. And by the way, one thing I would really like to say is that I wish Doc was here today to see the success of Doc's that Fred and Chris have made out of Doc's. He would be just thrilled to death to see that. Every year, Frenchie's would do really a good business in the summertime. But come December, January, February, Doc was putting money back into it to keep it going. And it was that time of year, it was I think early December, that I first come down here and looked at the boathouse. And anyway, we tried to do a few charters out of it, but it was really unsafe. It was held with cables to the ground and so forth, and it was kind of a mess. And anyway, Doc was wanting to get some money, so he said, well, why don't you buy it? He came over and we talked and said, why don't you buy it? And I said, Doc, I don't want this thing like it is. It ought to be raised up and get out of the water, or it's going to sit there and rot. Well, we had several meetings about it, and probably 4 or 5, and Doc says, well, if you buy it, you could always move it. I said, well, where in the hell am I going to move it?
There's nothing out here.
Yeah, you just can't hook onto that with a boat and pull it somewhere. So anyway, I said, Doc, if you're really serious, we got to get something done. So we finally did. I went down and got half a case of beer, and we sat on the back of the boat and worked out a deal. And
How did Frenchie play in all? What was Frenchie's role in all of that?
Frenchie didn't have any role in it. I could tell you some stories.
Was
about
he
it.
running the Doc's at the time?
Yeah, he was running Doc's at the time, and Well, it wasn't Doc's, it was Frenchie's.
Right.
So,
Right.
Well, you were here when it burned down, weren't you? The day after?
Well-
Fred was just telling us they had a Viking funeral and the sailboat went blowing out under the, under
well,
the
actually,
bridge.
I wish Dell was here because he called me and the place was ablaze, and I think he was probably the first ones to see it.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think he probably got a hold of Doc, and I remember we were all standing down here and it was burning down, and Dell had a girlfriend there that they moved the boat out and ran around the bridge here for a while till the fire got down, and we thought maybe it might even catch the boathouse on fire. It did warp the flagpole, but
Wow, hot enough to warp a flagpole.
yeah, but it's like, well, no telling what it would have done to the boat. 'Cause
Yeah.
the boat was a lot closer.
Yeah.
So, and it's a fiberglass boat, so
Yeah.
So Doc, at that point, started rebuilding it, right? Is that when he changed the name?
A couple years later.
yeah, that was a couple years later.
Right.
Yeah, we watched them build it here, and Tractor Steve, he put in
Yeah.
all the pilings. That was fun to watch him every day put those pilings in and stuff.
So what's the highest the water has been out here? I know for a lot of our listeners and friends, people watching online on Island Moon Live, if you've ever driven out here, I think the highest I've seen it was about kind of like knee.
A little more. We've got a mark down on the at the bar at the water
Okay.
line right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I want to say it's about 3 feet.
Okay.
So
Well, that was in Harvey, right?
Yes.
Right. And one of the testaments I want to throw Fred a bone here is that during the shutdown, during the COVID shutdown that we all are trying to put into the past, you guys were still paying your employees
Correct.
to keep them on, and I mean, just hats off and salute to you guys. And I would have to guess that was kind of a relic from Doc himself.
Exactly.
So-
That mindset of these guys are family and we're a team. We still utilize that today, and it's proven successful, and we'll continue to do that.
Yes, you have a small army that runs this
Yeah.
place.
Yes,
And
we
you
do.
need one, and it's great. Yeah.
And thinking of those hurricane times, we are right now putting a transfer switch back there. We have a big diesel generator coming, and we'll be one of the very, very few places on the island that the next hurricane will have power, serving cold beer.
All
well,
right.
when's that
food.
thing coming? It's supposed to have been coming a year ago.
I heard they need some water, so maybe we'll get one. But no, we're actually, and we built the restaurant anticipating those kind of things coming through periodically, and the cinder block bar downstairs, withstood everything. And I believe we were open 8 days after the storm, and we were immediately had the team here doing sandwiches and food and taking it to Port A and Rockport.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
you guys were
our community
huge.
involvement is a very big part of Doc's legacy here.
Right, yeah.
Well, you lost some boats in that storm. If I remember it, I saw you out here working on working on a boat.
Well,
Yep.
he had his sailboat tied up over there.
One of the few that made
They
it.
did wonderful. So
It was full of water, but we put pumps and we saved it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how long did you know Doc, Norm? I guess from you. So you met him probably the late
Well,
90s.
I really got to know Doc after we actually raised the boathouse, and we got a keg of beer, and Doc would come by 2 or 3 times a week, have a couple beers, and go home. And he always had some great stories. A lot of people don't know about his military history, and he had some great stories, and it was always fun talking to Doc. I know one time he came down and he was all pissed off about he got an assessment on his lot over there behind the Pelican there, and
Where there's no road.
where there's no road. Yeah, that's what he said.
There's still no road.
Yeah, he says, hell, Norm, you can't even get to it. What are they doing raising it by a third? I said, you got to go down and talk to him, Doc. So, but that was, he was pretty excited that night. So.
Well, that was probably so. He owned the old Two Seas is kind of legendary out here on the island. Mm-hmm. It's what's Ridley's, now for people who don't know.
Yeah.
But when I first moved here and met Mike Ellis, that was the first place he took me. Was you go to Two Seas and Patsy Jones would play, and it was
Irma
the
and
hangout.
Moe's.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Irma and Moe's 2 C's, right?
And it was stayed that way until the late like 2004 or 5, something like that.
Well, we just rebuilt that building and got it all set up for Ridley's to move in, and they're doing great over
They're
there.
doing great over there.
Yes, Ridley's is awesome. Great food.
Did you guys
Definitely
know how he
recommend it.
came to buy that place?
He started with a hamburger place up front, right, Gene?
Yeah, it
And
was
then
originally called Captain Bill's.
There you
I think
go.
that was the first
Oh, okay.
establishment, Captain Bill's.
And that's the front section, and then they added on, and they added on, and so part of our rebuild was really tying everything together properly.
Was it an old? It was a. What was originally a like a Dairy Queen or something? wasn't
No,
it?
it was
just
the
a hamburger
shop,
joint?
and it had the garage doors that
Oh.
slid up in the front. If you can kind of picture that when you look at the front now and you see the
Yeah,
way that
yeah.
it goes up a level. But no, we've gotten that building all shored up and in great shape, ready for Ridley's to do a long time successful
Yeah,
business.
they're
there.
doing. Dave's doing good business over there.
Mhm.
They have really good food.
Yeah.
I get in there when I can, but they close early.
Well, I think that's about to change. He's
Oh,
just
yeah.
easing on into it,
Mhm.
and I guess the back's going to get developed, the back end, and do some type of beer garden at some point, and
Nice.
continue to.
Well, they used to
continue
have
grow.
girls volleyball there. That was always fun to
Yeah.
watch, you know.
You would say that, Norman. You remember that?
Well, we had Mike had the Island Moon volleyball team, the Amazons from the Moon, and they were. It was supposedly mixed men and women, but the
It
Moon
was all
team was all
women.
women, so they didn't do all that well.
Yeah.
They lost a lot.
Well, they lost every game except for they had one that forfeited, and they won that game.
I called the other team and told them it was raining.
Excellent. Well, we are going to take a quick radio commercial break. If you are listening on 105.9, 103.3, or 104.1, we will be right back shortly, live from Doc's. And if you are on YouTube, we are going to keep on rocking. See here.
To the clean dishes after dinner and every refreshing shower in between. Water
it's
is
been
part
10
of
years.
everything we do.
15.
That's why
He
Oh, you
died,
got to be kidding me.
15 years.
Oh, my
I
God.
was
Yesterday.
surprised me as well when I saw it. I found it by accident. I
hard
know.
to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still had pictures from the funeral and everything from over there. I went. He'd been in my office just a couple of days
Yeah.
before.
He was at Taste of the Island on Wednesday.
I ran a picture
of
of
him.
him.
My mom
Yeah.
at Taste of
Yeah.
the Island on a Wednesday night,
Yeah.
and then he died Friday.
Wow.
2 days later.
I just got in from Harvest Moon. I think about it every Harvest Moon. It's that time.
Yeah, in fact, I ran it in this issue with the story of them. That was a great place for Taste of the Island, the old country
I
club.
can see that picture of him and my mom. I'm trying to remember where it was that time.
That's where it was.
Where-
It was at the country club.
Country Club, that's right.
Because you can see in the background, he's got his
Yes,
World War
country
II hat
club.
on.
Yep.
That's what's reminded me that. Oh yeah, that's Doc. And yeah, it was there for.
When you were talking earlier about him going out to the beach, he asked me to drive him out, and we went down the National Seashore.
for?
So there was a helicopter crash.
That's
what it was.
And
Yeah.
no technology, no GPS, just, and he said, keep driving. And he goes, okay, the first time you can turn left. Somewhere around here.
On the beach.
Sure enough, we turned left. We had to park because, you couldn't get over the dunes.
Right.
We parked. There was kind of a little cut through. So we walked through and he goes, there ought to be debris somewhere coming in here, because he was doing the tides and figuring out the time and all
Right.
of that. And sure enough, here came the helicopter chair.
Oh, wow.
The seat.
Yeah.
And you could see way down, further down, all the people in yellow. So when Dad started walking up to the water, he wanted to pull it out so they could have it. They start running, no. And my dad's like, I just found something for you, like.
Right.
So yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it
that
was. I couldn't
helicopter
remember.
that
I
went
remember him telling me that. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So he's just looking at the tides and the wind. And
Yep.
The time, the tides, the wind. I'm telling you, we weren't there. I mean, pretty much as soon as we came over, he looked up and he said, look, what's that? And I said,
Do you remember his ideas all the time he spent on ships to put those sails on ships? Remember, Norm? He used to. He would do drawings of sails on ships, and now you see them.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
a big kite surfing.
Yeah.
on
Like a
ship.
parafoil. Yeah.
Doc thought of that idea as soon as that came out, and he was doing sketches and drawings in the boathouse.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
One of the biggest things about him with that, one of the biggest things about that was he liked boats. He liked any type of boats in general, but he loved the sailboat because you could go anywhere with
Yeah.
sails, right? With the wind. So that's probably why.
That put me good with my father-in-law.
Yeah, right. I was going to ask you about that.
Who makes street sense meet common sense. Now, live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks, it's Island Moon Thursdays.
Yes, it is. Welcome back. Welcome back to all our radio friends. Let me get this down set here. All right. We're live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks on a beautiful Island Moon Thursday. We were just talking about, memories of Doc and kind of understanding the person behind the name on the building. And this has really kind of been a cornerstone of a lot of the island just because of the sheer visibility of it.
Yeah. I'm glad to see the Friday night boat parade based out of here this year. I think that's a congruence of two island traditions that needs to happen. I'm glad that we'll have Hilda on the next few weeks and talk some more about that. But I'm glad that she's doing that. I think it's a great idea.
Well, and they've got the setup here to handle pretty much any weather conditions, which sometimes it can be a bit cold.
Yeah. So did you ever do any business with Doc, Norm, other than the boathouse?
No.
No?
I never got asked, so we didn't talk too much business. Actually, we just had a lot of fun whenever he came over. And like I say, he would come by, 2 or 3 times a week and have a couple beers and go home. And,
He hung out with the judge for years.
Oh, yeah.
They were kind of an island staple.
Yeah, the judge and Gentleman Jim, and
They called him the judge because he was one of the Nuremberg guys, right? He worked in the Nuremberg trials or something like that, and they would sit around and swap war stories.
Well, he had a lot of history, I can tell you that.
So what is the? When's the last time you saw him?
Doc?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was actually the night that he died, because he came by the boathouse and he was sitting out at that picnic table, and he had a beer or two, and when he got up, got ready to go, he was kind of wobbly. So I asked Dell to walk him out to his car, and I said, "You all right, Doc?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the next day he was gone.
Wow.
So,
well, that's what you were saying 2 days before he was at Taste of the Island.
Yes.
I think he was in my office that week, just a couple of days, because that's when he brought in the history that he wrote for me. And I noted he wrote it in the third person. I asked him, and he wouldn't really say, but it would have sounded like bragging if he wrote it in the first person. I could tell by talking to him. That generation didn't brag. The World War II guys. They tell you the stories.
Yeah, when you're tough enough, you don't have to.
Yeah.
The greatest generation.
Yeah, you just put the 9mm shells in your cereal and eat them like everybody else does, right?
Right. Well, that's. I'm glad we had a chance to talk about Doc. I didn't realize 15 years. It flies by.
that's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable he's been going that long. Yeah.
So do you still live on the? You guys still live on the island?
I live in Flower Bluff.
Flower Bluff. So you're original islanders, so just about. Wow.
It's a great place to grow up.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Well, you could surf and you could.
Wait, are we grown up yet?
You could sail. Well,
Yeah.
right.
To a certain degree, some more than others, I'm sure. Yes. And I will, while we're talking about the Bluff, I will throw another shout out to Flower Bluff Varsity Tennis. They are playing for state today, I believe, against Frisco Centennial at about 11:30.
Yeah.
So good luck to them. Go Hornets.
Where are the matches?
I believe it's up either Waco or someplace up there. Yeah, it's past I-10, so it's like the Great White North.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mason-Dixon line.
Well, there's some high school event going on down here now, because I saw a high school bus out in front of here a couple of days ago. There's something, I don't know if it's some kind of a break or a contest or what, but we got high schoolers running around.
Yeah, now that it's fall, all the sports are in season, and Friday Night Lights is going on, and it seems like there's no shortage of.
They're having robot wars and all kinds of stuff. You don't know why they're in town.
Speaking of origin stories, Norm, how did you end up coming to the island? You've been out here, 25 years or more?
Since '87. Actually,
You said there would be no Matt.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, I sold a plastic company I had, and for the first time in probably 25 years, I had some cash. So my dad was a winter Texan, and he had a trailer haul back and forth down to Brownsville, and so I told him I sold this company, and why don't we just buy you a house down there? He says, well, why don't we look up Corpus Christi? And I said, well, where's Corpus Christi?
Right.
Yeah, right.
A lot of us started that way, I guess.
Yes.
So anyway, I flew down there, and we drove up here, and we looked around the whole area, and we liked the island the best, and so I started looking at houses. Actually, I looked at 45 houses.
Wow.
I'm surprised there were that many here.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Port A, so there was kind of an argument between my dad and I. And,
Right.
Anyway, but my dad liked this area, so anyway, I ended up bidding on a couple of houses, got the one I got, and
Really?
yeah, and so my folks wintered in it for about 4 or 5 years, and then my dad passed, and I got a divorce, and I sold the company I was at all in the same year, and I had to go somewhere because I gave away the other house. So
Just find a woman you can't stand and buy her house.
that's it. I bought more
Saved
houses
you a
than
lot
I
of
lived here. So I thought, well, hell, I got this house down there. Why don't I just go down there? So that's what I did. So been here ever since.
So have you had the Trula Bee here for a long time? People would come over the bridge and see that big
Yes.
boat and go, hey, what's that boat over there? Oh, that's Norm's boat. Yeah. Take
Yeah.
people for rides. Oh, I
Yeah.
think I got married on that boat.
You did get married on that boat. I believe Ellis had a shotgun too.
Yes, he
didn't
did. He wouldn't turn loose of that thing either. I told him it's just for the photographs, Mike. No.
Yeah, that was a fun day, wasn't it?
It was. It was. We had Judge Saldana was supposed to marry us, but she wasn't sure that I wasn't kidding, so she didn't show up. So I was headed for Ferris to see if I could find the judge to get him on the Trula Bee. And then I finally called Judge Saldana, and she said, "Oh, you were serious?" She showed up, and I gave her a shotgun.
Oh, you were serious.
Yes.
That's good. And then, well, we took a cruise out into the bay, and that was that. Here we are. But you sold a Trula Bee, about 10 years ago?
No, it was longer than that, actually. Well, I built a boat, which was really an exciting thing to do. I'm glad I had the opportunity to do that. Took about a year and a half to get built, but it was a 60-foot aluminum catamaran, and it's just like when you build a house, when you get done with it, why didn't I do this, or why did I
Right.
do that? But anyway, I loved that boat.
Would you ever build another boat?
Probably not at my age.
It sounds like the way Brent Chesney talks about Bob Hall Pier. He said, if I ever have to build another pier, it's too soon.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with actually both boats. Did a lot of traveling with the Trula Bee. Took it to
Well, you used to take it down to
Florida.
Veracruz, right?
Well, we took it to Veracruz 3 different times. We went to Belize for 6 months.
Yes.
Took it to
Oh, wow.
Florida twice.
How was the cross Gulf trip on that?
Well, it was pretty good till we were running out of fuel going into the top of the Yucatan there. We had about 50 gallons left by the time we got there.
Right, and you're going into the loop current coming from this direction,
That's
so
right.
you're going into a 5-knot current,
Yeah.
which is not good.
Yeah, so that was kind of exciting. But other than that, we got down there.
Okay.
Took us 14 days to get down there and 12 to get back. So,
Yeah.
What'd you do while you were there?
well, we probably won't talk about that.
That's classified information, Dale.
Well, we had a lot of fun down there. We went all over Belize, the outer tolls, a couple of times, and we had to go down to Mexico and check in, check out after 3 months, and that was fun. So,
Yeah, Delbert was saying when he was in Belize, he would have to go into Belize City and every couple of weeks or so.
yeah, we went to Belize City. It was not a real good place at that time. It's probably cleaned up a lot.
It still isn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
We
were
were there.
We were just there a month ago. Yeah,
yeah.
it's still
pretty-
kind of rough.
It's a pretty unique country because they speak English and
That's about the.
And they use the U.S.
yeah.
dollar, don't they?
They
yeah,
do.
Okay.
yeah.
It's 2-1.
What was it like going into Veracruz?
Oh, Veracruz back then was just a blast. I mean, Del and I had, well, it's a long story. There was a guy, the head of the fire department in Veracruz bought a boat, up in Clear Lake, and he got this far with it, and he stopped at the boathouse, and he was having all kinds of problems with it. And I said, well, we'll just take it over to the house. You can go home, and we'll see if we can get it fixed for you. So we took it over to the house, and we got it fixed for him, called him up. He come and got it, went to Veracruz and made it back. So he said, if you ever come down there, I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And by God, he did. We got down there. He had a place for us to park. Of course, everybody else, they tethered off, but he got us electricity and everything, got us set up at their yacht club.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
In quotations.
Yeah.
How hard is it to
Radio
get into the
land,
harbor
yeah.
there?
Oh, it was real easy,
Yeah.
real easy. It was, they had just an opening of the jetties, and you just shot in there. Now, if you had rough water, it'd be a little bit different, but the times we went down there, it was fun.
So you just go take overnight. You're there.
Yeah, I was an overnighter, and Ben Rogers come down the last time we was down there and came back with us, and it was actually a thrill for him. He had drank 2 beers and take a nap, and drank 2 beers and take a nap, and
That's a plan.
yeah. So, but anyway, we had fold-up bikes, and we would ride them down to the square, and then Veracruz was very safe. It was really a blast, and
Yeah.
it was home of the Mexican Navy, and to see their old worn-out boats there and everything, and their somewhat tattered uniforms
Yeah.
and everything, but
back
it was something to see.
Back in the day, I was doing a job in the Dominican Republic, and they were offloading the largest autoclaves in the world, right? So they're pulling them off of this ship, and there, guys, the Dominican National Police were down in an aluminum John boat with shotguns driving around, and that was the protection. Yeah, I think it's
Stay
about
out
the
of
same.
range.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, on one of the trips back, there was a Mexican Navy boat when we were probably maybe 25 miles from U.S. waters, and that boat just followed us for I don't know, like 10 miles. And Dell and I were getting real worried about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Yeah.
You're out there in God's country, and anything can happen. But they never did anything. They just followed us. So as soon as we got close to, U.S. waters, then they just turned around. So
Well, were you here when Frenchie had the world's first topless wedding on the island?
no, I'm not that
Missed
old.
that one?
No, I'm not that old. So I'm old, but not that old. So.
So whatever happened to Frenchie? Do you know? You guys would know that. I never met him.
Well, Doc, when Doc fired him again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stories about that. There was stories that when the place was burning down, that Frenchie was sitting over there across the way. I don't know whether he was or whether he wasn't, but there's stories about that. And then the story about the safe that was on the second
Right,
floor that
yeah.
went to the first floor, and that was an interesting day though. We had all the people here, fire marshal here, and everything, and I was walking out there, and they opened that safe, and there wasn't a damn thing. There
What was-
wasn't nothing in that.
What was the
safe.
building? It was I think a restaurant, a bait shop that was across the way right here, just
Yeah,
over
that
the
was
other side of the
the-
entrance.
We
Close
watched that
AFK,
thing
yeah.
burn.
That burned, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that actually, a neighbor, when I first got here, right across the canal from me, ran that place for a while.
Yeah.
It's called the Texan or something, wasn't it?
It was JFK's. I mean, I
JFK.
think it was
Before that,
that.
it was called something else. And
Yeah.
I can't.
Dell,
remember
I
what
got
it
a
was.
quick Frenchie story for you since you're asking about him. So our split wasn't a happy one,
Yeah.
But one time he said something to me, and I cussed at him for 5 minutes straight, and I didn't use the same word twice. and he looks at me and goes, "So anyway, Fred, this guy's bulletproof."
All right, he was used to it.
And then shortly thereafter, he passed away, and everybody said, "Well, how'd you do that?" And I said, "I wish I could take credit, but I had nothing to do with that."
Well, he had a museum, for lack of a better word, right? Well, I
And
think
shell shop
where the
and-
Pelican is
Yeah.
now, right? He had a frozen shark or something in there.
Yeah.
Mike used
he
to
did.
tell me about that. He
Yeah.
had some kind of a, I don't
big
remember
snake,
what he called
an
it,
ant-
but
What?
Oh, that's
Oh, that's right. He had a python too.
and it got
Python?
away,
Yeah.
and it lived behind the old car wash for years. We'd see it periodically. It got huge. Yeah.
Frenchie's Python.
Yeah, yeah. We tried to
Wow.
get a picture of it, couldn't do it, but you could see the grass parting. It would come to the dumpster at night, and it was scary. I didn't like to.
Yeah,
into the
really?
trash cans
Yeah.
at night.
I'd get your attention.
We had some of Frenchie's old things in the very beginning of this building, if you recall.
Yeah, yes, I do, yeah.
And we had a guy come in here, and he would hit on me about once a week to sell some hand cleaning stuff. He invented. He was a fishing guide, and he'd come up with this stuff that you put on your hands, and that everyone was going to love it. And I said, look, the restaurant business is hard enough, and I don't want to be in the hand cleaning business.
Right.
But thank you. So after about the 5th time he came through, I said, look, leave and please don't come back. I'm not going to do it. So a few months later, I came through and I looked over in that display where Frenchie had the stuff he found on the beach, and I saw a little pyramid stacked of that hand cleaning stuff in there. And Chris, who works here, as you know, is the nicest guy ever, and he's an easy sell. And,
He had
and I,
bought
s- I
some.
said, Chris, get over here. And so he came over, and I said, what the hell is this? He goes, I know, can you believe we sold 200 jars of that stuff in the last 2 weeks? I said, that's what I want to talk to you about. Get Frenchie's stuff out of here. And put it on a bigger display right now. And that was the end of Frenchie's stuff. And we got in the hand cleaning business, and you'll still see it in the bathrooms.
Well, a lot of his stuff. I read a thing. I've rented a couple of times. He was a treasure hunter for whatever you want. He had the idea that he was going to find one of the Spanish treasure ships
Right.
down by where the Nicaragua is, and
And he was looking for it too, and and that was Louis Raywald. It goes back to
Yeah,
Postway.
yeah.
Go back to Louis Raywald days, and
Yeah.
some lady treasure hunter found it, actually.
really. Well, he went and he went down
But then
there.
he
The story,
was, and then he was trying to salvage it after she found it. Yeah.
the story was that he saw the Nicaragua and realized that the beach had moved
Right. Yes. And
because the
that-
Nicaragua was offshore.
Nicaragua was on the beach at one point in time, and now it's 300 yards,
Yeah.
200 yards offshore. So yeah, beach
You,
has moved.
tide got low enough once so you could see it a little while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, he had at some point, I guess it was right after he passed away. A lot of that stuff that he had turned up down on North Beach, and somebody opened a place called Frenchie's, and I went down there, and he had some of the stuff that Frenchie had in there, and I have no idea what ever happened to any of it. But Frenchie was he was a
Character.
yeah, that's a good way to put
Yeah,
it.
and I could never figure out Doc's and his relationship because
They seemed a little bit opposite.
Yeah, they were. It was like a love-hate relationship. You know, one time they'd be getting along great, and the rest of the time they'd be fighting. And Frenchie had a big ego. You know, when they were building this building, Dell and I got tired of him coming over there in the evenings. You know, he was a general contractor or something.
Yeah.
And on Christmas Eve, he's sitting over at the boathouse. I wonder what the hell you're sitting over here for. He was waiting for the concrete to dry at the bottom of the steps
Yeah.
so he could write his name. And he's sitting there waiting until it's dry enough so he can write. Is that?
That's true,
Yeah. Can you believe that? I mean,
That's some patience. It's a man who has a goal, right? So that was been probably what, 2010.
I don't know. You got a better idea of when.
Yeah, maybe before that. Yeah.
How did they meet? Did Doc ever say?
Probably at fairs or somewhere. I don't know, honestly, but yeah. You know, back in those days, that whole group, Doug Tinker, the lawyers and the judges, would all meet at Norm's, and then they'd go down to Farrah's, and then they'd all head home. But
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best stories I heard of early Island, back in, like I said, 2000 or whatever, would
Yeah.
be at Norm's or over at the Farrah's. Yeah.
They had Island Italian was here then.
Yes. Yes.
And Keith McMullen was.
Well, there was a bank tube that ran between Ferris and Island Italian. There had to be. Well,
Yeah.
because I could tell you some stories about that. You'd be at Ferris and go down to Island Italian.
And it
they'd be
already got
talking
the
about
story
it.
beat you there.
Yeah.
The coconut travels fast down here. Yeah. So what was it, Dale? You were mentioning a story a while ago about the phones between Farrah's and I believe it was Island Italian, and they would basically find out where the police officer was on the island, or
That's
see
what Norm's talking about.
Yeah, and
The word would, well, there was only one island cop then, I think. That was even
Yeah.
before Chris, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ross.
Yeah, I saw him
Ross,
last night.
did
The hangout was Island Italian and the Boathouse and Farrah's.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
We had Joe Fair used to come on this show right up until he passed away. He'd come in and hang out with us.
Oh yeah, we'd be sitting there talking about something, and it would spark up some story in his head. You could see him with his cup of coffee just aching, and he
Yeah.
couldn't stand it anymore.
Finally, come on in, Joe.
Yeah, he'd run over, jump on, and tell stories about the way it was back in the day. It was awesome.
Those early dive stories of his were, going down the bottom of the rigs.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that work. And that's where I think he and Doc had such a great rapport.
Yeah, because of all the decompression
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. Well, Joe wrote a lot of those charts for the air mixtures. He would go down and stay a week at a time on the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, running pipelines across there.
Well, we had the Trula B built in Gulfport, Mississippi, and of course Dell and I'd go up there like twice a month to see how they were doing. Well, we got up there kind of late one evening, so we went to this restaurant going to have dinner, and there was so much of young divers in there, and we didn't realize until they were talking, and so I turned around and I said, are you guys divers out here on the rigs or what? And they said, yeah. And he said, well, where are you guys from? We said, we're Corpus Christi. They said, do you know Joe Farrah? I said, yeah, we know Joe Farrah. You know Joe Farrah? I mean, it was like Babe Ruth, I mean, you know Joe Farrah? I mean, he's a legend to those young divers. It was.
Well, he
really
said he would go down on the bottom of the diving bell, and it took so long to get up and down, the decompression time, he couldn't get a lot of work done. So he'd figure out he'd go down there and stay, and he was turning the knobs himself, which is kind of a scary thing when you think about it.
Yeah.
If you get it wrong, there's nobody to call.
No.
Yeah.
You're toast.
Wow.
Well, these divers, they had all kinds of stories about him coming up, and they have to go through the decompression thing, whatever.
For days.
He'd take his hat off and light up a Lucky.
Yeah.
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 Well, you see, he would send up dinner. He'd be down there welding, and the grouper would come up and start. They were territorial, and they'd start bumping him. So he'd give them a little what's what with welding torch and get on the radio and say, "Up comes dinner, boys."
Oh, the grouper, the Jewfish.
That's outstanding. All right, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. For those hanging out with us on YouTube, just go to Island Moon Live, and you can see how the sausage is made here live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks.
Port of Corpus Christi, we maintain a clear pathway for waterway commerce so that
another
our
really
customers can
interesting
deliver
guy
goods and energy.
Tinker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that guy was.
Funny.
First time I met
what
him
a character he
San
was.
Antonio at the Branch Davidian trial. He represented.
Yeah, that's right.
He was the defendant nobody wanted because he was the only guy. The ATF agents got on the stand in the trial and said, "I saw that guy shooting at me with a gun." He was the only one they said that about. So all the attorneys said, "I represent that guy. They're going to put him under the jailhouse."
Right.
And Tinker got him 9 years. He got out in 6.
I was a sailmaker. You remember that big Cuba regatta? We all spent a week down
Yeah,
in Cuba.
yeah.
First regatta since 1959. Tinker did it. A bunch of guys.
Tinker wrote his stories about that.
That was a
I
lot of
still
fun.
have those.
Yeah,
I built a sail so strong for him in the big breeze it ripped the track out of the deck. So he
Really?
Oh, geez.
I said, "Your sail should have blown up. I should be liable."
Whoa. Yeah. No.
My sail system, your track.
Get a better boat.
Right. Yeah.
No, he did great in that race.
He used to come to the boathouse a lot too.
Oh, he did.
It was funny because one of the first times I went in the boathouse, he was there, and I kept and we actually remembered each other. We used to do karaoke. We had a mutual friend who was a cross-dresser who he liked to sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." He would go from karaoke to karaoke. So we'd ride Tinker.
Work
and
phone call.
Oh, yeah.
ride around
Interesting
the
stuff
limousine.
with new drone laws. And
Oh, right.
Yep.
Cheryl, you can jump on.
Yeah.
Eric just told me to come for the 9 o'clock.
I've got to run. I told him to try and get a hold of you yesterday, but
So
he's
not
going to be at the
here.
fortress.
He's going to be at his house. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want, jump on.
Come on, while you're
Yeah,
here,
we'll take
talk
a take a
skate
victory
park.
lap for
Yeah.
the with the skate park.
Yeah.
We should get the street named after Doc. Let's do
No, I'm gonna chase that down. See, we can Doc
seat was
Blankenship.
Jump on
Boulevard.
in.
Okay.
I don't know how that was built, but
Well, I mean, we got Captain Billy
Billy
Sandifer
Sandifer Way,
Way, there at the entrance to Padre Bali. So yeah, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
So it's a city street from the access road in.
And the access road is actually TxDOT. So
if we-
that's why I
if we
said we have
just
to
do
put
it
the
from there
sign.
to here.
Yeah, we have to put the sign over here, the corner outside of the TxDOT right away.
BC.
I think
It's
this
the
is a private
Power Hour
street,
with
so
Larry
put up
Elizondo,
the
the
sign.
Godfather, who makes
I don't
street
think anybody's
sense
gonna take it
meet
down.
common sense.
Beautiful.
Now, live from Doc Seafood and Steaks, it's
Yeah.
Island Moon
Right.
Thursdays.
That is right. It is Island Moon Thursday, and we are live from Doc Seafood and Steaks. Cheryl Seacrest joining us, Jay Gardner, Dale Rankin, Norm Baker.
Norm Baker, thanks for coming in, Norm.
My name is Jacob Oggs.
We're trying to get Norm to come in for a while.
I know. Well, he's got to,
Well, I
curtail
got a
bunch
long
of-
way to come.
Yeah. he's got to, decide on which stories he can and can't say on the radio.
Right. You can't say that on the radio.
Well, I think the first time I went into Boathouse was the first day I met Mike Ellis, and I showed up in a suit and tie, and you guys cut my tie off and thumbtacked it to the Raptor,
Said,
and
nope.
it's still there.
It's still
No
there.
tie
Fortunately, it
zone.
wasn't one of my better ties.
Yeah.
Not that it would have mattered.
They still have the no tie zone signs up around in a lot of places
They do?
here. Yeah, I see them periodically.
So we've been talking about Doc Blankenship this week. That's been our topic du jour, and we sit here in the building named after him, where we've been doing this show for now 3 or 4 years, I
Yeah,
guess,
it's
something like
been a
that.
while.
So it's one of those we forget whose shoulders we stand on sometimes, but when it comes to the island, Doc's he's probably had as much influence on this island as anybody in the last 20, 25 years, right?
Yeah, I'd say in his own way. I mean, Doc was a character, of course, but in his own way, he did. I mean, anybody that got to know him would appreciate what he did in his lifetime. So, you had to appreciate that. So it was pretty cool guy. Fun to
That's awesome.
talk to.
Yeah.
Very fun to talk to.
That's neat. Well, Mark Twain said, "We are to endeavor to live so that when we come to die, even the Undertaker will be sorry."
Yeah.
And I think Doc lived up to that. Outstanding. So,
That's you, Norm. That's
yeah, someone's
opportunity
ringing.
calling.
Okay. So we want to take one last victory lap for the skate park, and
We got final approval this week, council second reading, so it's done.
It's done. We're so excited. We were the last agenda item at the meeting.
We were the only agenda item at
The-
At the city council
yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
and hung
Exactly.
in there, and it was unanimously approved, and we're so thankful and grateful. And to Jay too over here, I have to say it was a true collaboration with everybody.
And it was an idea that that I cooked up on Island Moon Radio.
Right here on this radio show.
So yeah,
we're out here doing the Lord's work.
yeah, for sure. The kids, thank you very much.
So what
They're very
happens
excited.
next? It's got to go through the capital improvement budget.
It can move into the capital improvement budget now that it's been passed by TERS number 2 and City Council. So now, engineering takes over it, and they go out for bids, and
We
and
have
they go from there.
We have our little group, the Stoke Brokers, that kind of started this a year and a half ago. There's some good guys on there, and they're going to get together actually Friday afternoon. And I talked with Sergio in engineering, and they're going to put together a schematic, a wish list design, if you will.
Right.
And-
Sergio with Parks,
Yes,
and
with
then
Parks.
and is working with Jeff Edmonds at engineering.
And so then we're going to present that to them.
Right, and those two actually were instrumental in putting West Guth Skate Park
Yes.
together. So they've been through this, so they've got it down pat. And that was kind of a surprise that Jeff Edmonds said, "No, we don't think 650 is going to do it, or 700." He said, "Ask for another 150." So he bumped it up to 850,000, and it's in the budget. It's in the
Yeah.
TERS budget, so
It's there. Hopefully, we
that
can
that
even
gets us across the
Yeah.
finish line. So.
And that's going to be at Billish Park. But we've also got 3.4 million in Commodore's Park improvements that were approved, including a pavilion with basketball courts and
Right, yeah.
Pickleball,
tennis
the
courts,
pickleball.
and pickleball.
Pickleball.
That will be started by year's end. We're told.
Yes, they announced the contractor and awarded the contract, who came in under budget for phase 1, and that should get cranked up in 30 to 45 days.
4 pickleball courts, I
Four
think,
pickleball
and
courts,
2 tennis
exactly.
courts. You know,
Right?
There's going to be a lot of snakes come out of there.
Well, at least
They'll
we
be in
have
your
a skate
backyard.
park. At least we have a skate park, so the kids won't skateboard on the pickleball courts.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good move. We can get them over to Billish, and pickleball players can do their thing at Commodore's.
you know, we've been trying to get tennis courts out here. Gabi Hillpold has been trying to since even before the old ones at
She
at
was already
Sleederbahn
lamenting
were-
their loss, yeah.
And it's been crazy talk, like tennis courts, pickleball courts. Well, that'll never happen. Now all of a sudden it's going to happen.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, that's good.
Covered basketball.
And they're actually going to put in a playground, which looks pretty interesting, and concrete trails. So that should be connected to the rest of the island. The schematic that you ran the other day didn't show that connection, and so I'm kind of chasing that down a little
Right.
bit. But
So,
bird observation tower and things
Oh,
like
nice.
that. So,
Well, and
yeah,
the,
should
the whole purpose of this, right? The linear park that's on Aquarius is kind of
be
meant to be
connected,
like
yeah.
a chain to connect everything together, right?
That's
And that-
part of our island mobility plan.
Yeah.
That actually
Right.
should be.
What's
should be
the
approved.
status of that's going to the council here before too long?
It
isn't
should have gone to council this month. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it on before January, but yes, the Island Mobility Plan. Karen Costanzo called me yesterday and said that it'll be on the January agenda. And once it's approved by council, they're the last hurdle. Then we can start teasing those projects out and actually get them on the capital improvement plan
Right.
and get those built. Whether it's just striping. I mean, we're not asking for
Right.
gold streets here. You know, we're just asking.
And we need to
for-
find a way to get golf carts here to where we're sitting.
Yes, and that's
That's down the road, but
That's-
still,
that's on our area development
It
plan.
is
and-
something that we look at and work on
Right.
monthly with the ISAC. We have a little subcommittee and constantly going through.
that Cheryl and I sit on.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
exactly.
projects
Dr.
and-
Gully and Craig and JJ.
I'm so glad that you guys have subcommittees that are actually functional and successful with what you do. Isn't it funny when you go to sit down in a
things
meeting
actually happen.
and the meeting takes 40 minutes instead of 40 hours?
Right.
Well, I was going through. I did a column this week on kind of every now and then you have to slow down and smell the palm trees, and this week for me, you look around at all the things happening. Commodore's Park, the skate park.
Yeah.
The big thing that's happened recently to me is the maintenance plan for the seawall. That's
Yes.
over time. That's going to be a huge game
Right.
changer.
I
You're
am
seeing things happen down there, and the common denominator in every one of those projects is the ISAC committee.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's important for people to know, I've seen comments on Facebook and stuff. What do? They just sit there, I attend. Well, the thing is, yeah, you see these projects like the skate park that were approved rather quickly in Commodore's Park, through the past bond and
Right.
whatnot. And the thing is, it's a balance. We want to be able to provide the island with shovel-ready things now, but that doesn't take away from the long-term planning
The
we're doing
mobility
as
plan
well.
would
The
never
mobility
happen.
plan is
Right.
the big picture, and so that
You're
is being
welcome.
worked on all the time.
Jeez
Just because we have
Louise.
something passed and approved doesn't mean
Right.
that others going by the wayside.
Well, we have 3 past, present, and current presidents, chairmen of the ISAC committee that are on here. Jay was chair, and Brian Gully and Greg Smith, going back all the way to 2016, I think.
Yeah.
In 2014, the Don Patricio Bridge project was dead. There was
Absolutely.
$4 million short.
Yeah.
It was off the books. It was not going to happen. And Libby Edwards at the time was the head of ISAC.
She was
And
a chair for a year.
She
She
went
got in
shaking the
there.
tree and found $4 million
She did.
through the TERS. Without it, we would not have a Don Patricio Bridge.
Well, we were charged
Absolutely.
with, for the next ISAC meeting, we're going to be presenting to the committee, our subcommittee is, the 3 projects that we
priorities,
feel
yeah.
should be in the next bond, because we've been asked to do that. The
Paper
city staff
Streets is
asked
one?
us to do that.
It
Paper
is one.
Streets.
So it's the JFK Bond 2018. So basically, we're continuing what we've already approved for bonds on the island, which is JFK. We really want that actually done. Push that over the finish line.
Are you talking about the parking lot or
The
what?
parking
All of
lot
the above.
under,
Muddle and
underneath.
puddle.
It's crazy talk, right, Norm?
I know, right? So yes, filling in Muddle and Puddle under the bridge. That is 75%.
The Twin Lakes of
design.
Muddle and Puddle.
I know, right?
I
Now,
think
it's important what Jay's saying, though, that it's at 75% design. So, our committee, we want to push these things, get them to the finish
them done,
line
yeah.
that were approved back when,
On 2018, coming soon in 2019.
so. The mobility plan, JFK, paper streets, are
and
those
paper
the-
streets.
And
absolutely.
phase 2 of Commodore's Park.
Phase 2 of Commodore's Park.
Because phase 1, is out of design and going into construction, and we want to continue that because
Right.
phase 2
Well,
includes
they
those other
typically
amenities.
will put the design for phase 2 on the next bond issue.
No, it's
and
been-
then 2 years later.
Yeah, it's been designed, and so what we're hoping to do, because Commodore's was supposed to be in 3 phases, right? We're hoping now that the skate park, which was the very last of the end of phase
Phase
3,
three.
now that that's been pulled out, we're hoping to get the rest of Commodore's done in phase 2. So we're going to have a big ask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be within 2 years, 3 years. Well, the
Absolutely.
skate. I talked to Jeff Edmonds last week. He says he thinks he could, if everything falls into place, he could have a skate park up
This
and
time
going by
next
this
year.
time next year.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and
And
I
I think
believe
that,
him.
with our little committee we have of stakeholders and Sergio and Jeff, I think that, we could be very efficient and have something there that's good for all ages and all skill levels. That's our focus.
And then that's the big thing of ISAC is that we have a very clear voice on the island, and we take ideas directly down to council and staff.
Yes.
Well, and that's what I wrote about this week. If you took all of these projects, and the first time they got vetted was at the council level, it would stretch the timeline out for years because the council
Absolutely,
people
yeah.
are generalists. They're looking at a big, huge
We have
area.
a lot to, lot
If you
to
run it
look
through
at.
ISAC, you have islanders who vet the projects, kick the dents out of the fenders, and then take them downtown. And by the time they get to the council, they've gone through the tours
Oh,
and through the
yeah.
ISAC.
No, I know. I remember I was chairing ISAC back when we were doing the golf cart.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
That
The
was a
golf
mess.
cart ordinance.
You got us kicked out of the Baptist church because somebody dropped the
Somebody dropped the F-bomb in the church. I had 100 people for public comment. Norm was actually there. He didn't want to get up and speak. He was just watching the spectacle. So
He had popcorn and everything.
I had to sit through 3 hours. We
Watching
all had
the
to sit
show.
through 3 hours of public comment. It was like, good grief. If you just listen to us, we've got the ordinance already figured out. But
And I've got to tell you,
anyway.
I've got to give a shout out to Kaylin Paxson because, now that she's chairing the TERS 2 board now, and, she voiced during a meeting that, if these projects, I'd like ISAC to take a look at them
Yeah.
before they come to
And
us
Mark
at TERS
Scott,
2.
believe it or not, too.
Yeah,
It's like,
Mark has been a good champion
send this
for
back to
ISAC over the
ISAC,
years.
yeah.
And it's made it just I think I've missed 2 ISAC meetings when they were downtown.
Yes.
I didn't go because I looked at the agenda and thought, can't make it, it's not worth the trip.
It was a
But
nice
other-
room, but it's
Right.
good to have it here so that
gotta be
people
on the
can
island.
come and
Yeah,
public
it has to be
comment.
on the
and it's over the years. I mean, it started with our councilman Chris Adler in 2010. She was
love Chris.
first started. She's the one that got it up and going through the island development plan. And almost immediately, it started. You started seeing the
Mustang
results
Island,
of it.
Padre Island Area Development
the
Plan.
canal west, not only the Don Patricio
Forgot
Bridge,
about that.
but before that, getting the canal work done to the west of the Don Patricio
Okay.
Bridge because nobody would fund the bridge without the canals.
Right.
People
Right.
forget that. The canals were in place for 2 years before the work started on the bridge.
It was almost
Yeah.
a chicken and the egg problem, which not to bring up Encantada again.
Well,
but
that
I
project.
know.
Well,
Yes.
that project came down to when Greg Smith was on the council.
Good try.
The council had a directive that said they would not go ahead on the bridge until the canals were substantially complete.
Right.
So Greg brought the city manager out, pointed at the canal, and said, "That's substantially complete." And that's
Let's
how
go.
we got the Don Patricio Bridge.
Right.
And funding had come through ISAC. That's what got it to
And the
that
TERS
point.
number 2. Yeah.
So all of it going all the way back to 2010, these projects that we're seeing around us now, including the JFK for that matter, all of those, that even predates ISAC, I think.
I know.
All of these projects went through ISAC, and had it not been for ISAC being there, they would not have moved. We wouldn't be looking at what we're looking at.
And walking them down to council in a pretty little package.
Well, it gives the council the first political coverage.
Yeah.
Because if there's
Absolutely,
if there's
yeah.
two
That's the
sides,
whole
just
idea.
like the stop sign at Commodore's Bridge, that's going to be the next one. The council doesn't want to get in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So they say, well, go talk to ISAC.
Right.
And so ISAC brings everybody in, and those are people from the island.
Yeah.
Who, just like with the golf carts, you
I
let everybody
know.
have their say. Otherwise, they're going to be at City
City Hall,
Hall,
yeah.
and the council people are going to run for the hills.
I called one of my favorite council members. I'll let their name stay out there. And I knew that I was coming into this ordinance, the golf cart ordinance. There was going to be a bunch of people there. And I said, can I change up the order of the meeting and, give the presentation before public comment? They're like, no, Jay, this is what you signed up for. So
You got to listen to all of it. And you're like, guys, I could answer all these questions with just my presentation right now.
There's a lot of foot stomping and finger wagging, as
Yeah.
I recall.
That's
And that same council person has now deranged their council to where public comment is after. I'm like, oh,
Right.
do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Well, one thing I will want to say is thank you to all of our guests that came out today. It was a great show sitting here at Doc's talking about Doc, and appreciate all the friends and everybody coming out. Greg Mills with PackerySurfCam.com. Definitely go check that out. I want to say one more shout out to Josie's, my daughter's favorite tennis player, Camille Neary, who's playing for state right now, I guess at about 11:30
Go Hornets.
today up in Waco. So congratulations to the Hornet tennis team, and go Hornets. We're going to leave you guys with a little bit
Thanks
of
to Fred.
Patsy Jones. Yes, special thanks to Fred and everybody and Norm coming out talking about Doc's talking about Doc at Doc.
It's fitting that Patsy sings this out.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. So in the distance, you can see. Oh, it smelled bacon. I know it
Bacon.
smelled bacon.
Oh my goodness, bacon.
You can see the rise of the mushroom cloud of truth. We're going to turn this over to Eric Von Wade here shortly. Thank you again to everybody, and we will be back soon.